23.
23. Nearly at the silver anniversary number of 25. Don't know if normal people celebrate it or not. It's very important in the UK. That's if you're married for 25 years. We've just done 25 episodes. It's not quite 25 years. So, well, we all know what I've been doing. I've been in Saudi Arabia just working the Esports World Cup Devilwalk. So what have you been doing?
I've been to Ed Sheeran concert in Stockholm. It was actually amazing. We already talked about this. This is why Banks is laughing. But I absolutely loved it.
Oh, dear. Are you going to tell everyone about your singing career now as well? We may as well get
Well,
into that as part of this beginning a bit.
I did actually go to music class when I was 15, 14, 15, 16, probably something like that.
So, so how long ago was that? Nearly 16 years ago, 17 years ago.
Yeah, I used to sing
Yeah.
back then. Now I only it's reserved for the showers and baths only.
You must sing to your missus sometimes just to put a smile on her face.
Yeah, it has happened. It has happened. I do it when I'm
It
cleaning
does.
as well.
Do you?
Yeah, I walk around,
Do you?
do all the
Mate,
housework kind
we
of
need to
stuff.
follow you around with a camera one day. Just like, hidden cameras following you in this stuff so we can catch you by surprise in your element.
I'm sure it would be hilarious for some people.
I would enjoy it. I would definitely enjoy it. But you went to the Ed Sheeran concert, yeah? So you're down in
Yep,
Stockholm again.
yep.
Um, anything else happen that was interesting?
Well,
Because that's pretty
obviously
boring.
football has started. I'm watching Premier
Oh,
League
yes.
again. Spurs going
Good
strong
start.
at the moment. So yeah,
Early
I'm happy.
days.
Early
All
days,
right. A
but
happy Devilwalk.
I mean, we ended the season on a high, but a pretty bad Premier League season. So I'm happy to have a
Yeah.
good start.
We take the good starts when we can get it. Well, for me, I've
Yeah.
been dealing with insane levels of heat, drinking a lot of water, as much water as possible, and electrolyte drinks. I will just say zero sugar electrolyte Gatorade is my supplement of choice when I'm out here. I'll tell you what, the craziest thing about the heat here, and it doesn't even compare to any other country, because like I felt like in Turkey when I was on holiday, or Abu Dhabi and Dubai, when you're in those countries, it's hot, but you sweat and you can feel yourself sweating. Here, you just sweat and it disappears off your body before it can go in anywhere. So you never actually feel too wet. It's a different kind of heat. But sometimes when you go from like the aircon room, because by the way, this is a problem with every country. I said it about America when we did like Dallas before. It's like 30 to 40 degrees outside, and then it's 16 in every hotel room and office you go into. So your face just starts stinging. Like it's just awful. I don't understand that. I never understand that. But we got a lot to talk about because the World Cup was bloody crazy. It was wild from start to finish. So let me do the normal banging opener that everyone expects. This is the All About Counter-Strike podcast. It's episode 23 at the moment. It is 9:37 in the evening here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That means for Devilwalk, it is 8:37 in the evening over in Sweden, and we're about to rock and roll. We'll just start with the Esports World Cup because honestly, yeah, it's single elimination, but there were some real worrying signs across many of the teams, despite what was going on. Um, I guess we can actually begin, which is probably going to be to my detriment, mate, but we can begin with Navi because
Yep.
Navi went up against 3D Max, and I will just say, when I looked at that draw, and especially with how well they played at Cologne, I thought that is a great start for them. That is a gift for them. This is going to be an awesome game. And Ancient, 3D Max picked Ancient, by the way, which
Yep.
obviously we know Makazi's like a specialist on this map. It's like his favorite map. It's the one he always performs on. They lose Inferno. By the way, I didn't get to speak to him so much because you know what the terrible
But
thing about this event for me was talents in one hotel, players were in another hotel. So we were not always together. So I couldn't talk to them so much, only at the event. And obviously, when you're actually on the ground of the event, it's so busy, right?
yeah.
But same problems with them getting battered on Inferno.
Yep.
And then Nuke, they can play. And an individual like Makazi played well, right? But this was just almost like the team again was falling for the old bad habits of not being connected at the right time, not knowing what they should have been doing. And maybe Cologne was just a lie because it was the first event. Maybe the more practice they've done, it's actually become worse for them because this wasn't pretty to watch. And okay, the only thing that I can give them as like a way out is 3D Max changed in-game leader. Gravity's now the in-game leader, not Maka, so it freed up Maka some more, but maybe he was calling a little bit differently and it didn't work out for, prep heavy, understanding heavy, knowledge heavy Navi. But that's the only thing I can give them as an excuse because it was rough. It was really bad.
I think it's kind of funny or weird to me that they end up picking a map like Inferno, where I mean, even since the first time we saw Navi play with Makase, it's been a map that he struggled on. He's gotten pretty much bullied, especially on the T side, on Banana,
Yep.
where he hasn't really found his flow. And then he's obviously supposed to be one of their star players, and if you kind of nerf your star player to that point where you're obviously not comfortable on that map, and
Yep.
it's obvious that there's not been that much of a change in that regard on that Inferno. I think. Do you think it is one of those things where obviously Alexi B is like really comfortable calling on it, and they did have a good T side and couldn't really shape it up on the CT this time around. But do you think it's a weird pick of a map considering this, or do you think they just put so much kind of practice and preparation into working this map out for themselves that they got trapped into all of that?
Yeah, maybe they felt really good on the map for whatever reason, but I think there are better options they could have gone for as Navi. Yeah. Like maybe they didn't expect 3D Max to pick Ancient, and it was what they were going to pick, and then it was a bit of a surprise. But I don't know. Maybe I'm giving Blade too much credit, but I would expect him to be ready with a second plan. Because 3D Max is a team that's always also leaned into playing Inferno. Like they're
Yeah.
comfortable to play Inferno as well. It's not a terrible map for him. Um, so I'm assuming he just thought we can win this anyway. It shouldn't be a problem, or maybe we want to test it against what they see as a weaker team. And then just the nuke one for me is just like where it feels you didn't get enough T rounds, which is what I always used to say. I used to say back in the day, well, I say back in the day, but like 2024 Navi was like T side nuke. They weren't so heavily reliant on getting so many CT rounds. They could play a good T side, and that didn't come to show. And I'm not going to ring alarm bells. Alexi's interview that he gave at the end, I think to HLTV, when I was
Yeah.
reading it, was like he was so disappointed because he had some moments himself which could have really changed the game and things he didn't get done. But it's just like there was already a level of frustration when you listen, or sorry, when you read that interview, um, which they're going to have to quickly shake off ahead of Blast. But that was like they were the reigning champions. Yeah, it's a different team, but after such a good Cologne performance, like I definitely had them going through the semis in some magical way. I thought that could happen. Like it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
Yeah, but it is a really ruthless tournament kind of
Yeah, the
structure.
singular limb.
Yeah, and I mean, there's more examples than Navi, and I think obviously 3D Max is a little bit more close to Navi's level than maybe you think about on terms in paper. I think 3D Max, they have good players, but seeing them breaking into top five is maybe not that realistic. But
No,
they'll definitely be
it's not what
hovering in
happened.
this, and especially against a team that's kind of trying to reinvigorate themselves with this lineup change, try new things, change a few roles, etc. I think they're still much closer. They're probably almost up to par with each other in terms of what level they are at right now. But it's something you don't really expect when you look at this matchup.
No, it's not even just the Navi fan in me. I just thought after the Cologne performance, I would definitely had a lot more belief in what could happen and what they could do. I think that was a problem. But fair play to 3D Max. We'll come on to later what they did result wise afterwards. But I know another interesting one was Tyloo taking on Astralis. Once again, Astralis can't take down Tyloo. I did predict this one.
Yep, you
I'm
did.
not some amazing predictor, but I mean, I just had the feeling after they lost to Tyloo when Tyloo's coach was playing, then they lost in the final when G came back, and then here, by the way, it looks so bad. Tyloo keep picking Inferno, like they've got a
Keep
real
losing
problem.
it.
Like I don't know. Like I said to G off camera, I said maybe like don't pick Inferno and let them punish pick it against you because you seem to always pick Inferno, lose it, and then fight your way back into a series. And it's like clearly you guys wake up or get more comfortable on the second map. But like Astralis, obviously going for the overpass pick, just thinking of like Device, I remember still so many moments of him on overpass. But in
Yep.
general, this is a good team map. It's a good synergized map, right? And I'm guessing they put some practice in. Hooksy felt probably very confident with it. But Tyloo served them on the T side. Tyloo absolutely wrecked them. And admittedly, this series, I remember just seeing it was maybe a 7-0 start on train for Astralis. And I called it there. I said, this is impossible. Is this what I'm thinking? Let's have a look. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 start for him. Half ends 8-4 in favor of Astralis. This is their CT side. And I just went back in my mind to thinking, you remember when Astralis played I think it was Spirit on train? And they
Yep.
had some like they really pushed them. They really had some good games on it. Like I think in the end, Spirit ended up winning, but there was definitely the chance that the Sharks could take it. So I
Yep.
thought, okay, Tyloo's cooked here. No, this is not going to work at all. And even G on the interview, when I gave him his ice cream once again, he didn't know how they won it in there. They won 5 clutches on train alone.
Yep.
That's nuts. And they pulled out the bag. And then I feel like Astralis just maybe like now mentally feel completely weak against Tyloo. Like we can't beat these guys. Like this is not what we can handle.
But I mean, Tyloo is a great team. They're one of those
Yeah.
teams, they're unexpectedly good and they're always competitive. Doesn't matter who they're playing against. Maybe against Vitality, they have struggled a bit and not really showed their level, even in the past. But I think, looking at the rank, they're not really in the rank 18 in the world. Um,
They're playing
I've,
above that. Yeah.
they're playing above it. They're hitting way above their weight, but at the same time, it's because they're not attending as many tournaments essentially as the other teams are.
Yeah.
Um,
They're not getting as
so
many opportunities, right? Because of the way it all works.
in the same kind of fashion that they pick Inferno, they're kind of on the back foot to start in the rankings as well.
Yeah. But hey, they getting a win there, getting a win at a big event like this is still huge for them.
Yes,
The
massive.
next one we have to look at after Tyloo, right, is wait, see, one more thing on Tyloo. You know, like how we always give G an ice cream because he loves ice cream so much. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
if anyone thinks that this version of G you see on camera isn't real, I spent time with him and his manager Jack. By the way, Jack's been with Tyloo since 2017, so we've had so many events together. A funny story is at one point, before COVID, Tyloo actually moved their European, well, they made a European office in Ukraine, in Kiev. And that was epic. We used to get the same flights back with each other. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit and they had to like close it all down, obviously go back and focus on China. But G's personality, yeah, is exactly the same in real life when the cameras aren't rolling as well. Like he's so talkative, he's so happy, he's so positive. Like before we start to film something, he's also just like so many words coming out of his mouth and so much excitement, and he's just enjoying the moment of it all. He truly is a fan of all these players he's talking about and what he watches. And people can say it's a bit of persona, but I also think it's actually like this is him trying to express himself and not close himself off just because he can't talk the language, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
trying and his English is improving. And then when they did a signing session after they were eliminated, obviously they got beaten by Vitality in the end. I bought an ice cream to every single one of the team members, so we weren't just only giving it to G to make sure everyone got some love. But dude, it's like they're turning into most favorite team of recent times. Like them and Mongols, the two Asian region teams,
Yeah.
are just so cool, man. So it's such a nice story. So many
They're
fun
hard to hate.
moments.
Very,
Yeah,
very hard to hate.
exactly.
I
And
mean,
like
I saw even
Jam,
but Yi, have you seen this
yeah.
video where he goes into like Mongol's room, uh, and he's like, he just jumps in straight with a lot of energy, and he sees that the Mongols players are playing. He's like, "You practice? You practice? You practice?" And then he leaves, and then someone comes and grabs him, like, "No, no, no, they're not practicing." Oh, okay, and he just jumps in. And you can kind of see that silly goose energy that
Yeah,
he has, even in these moments. So
yeah.
I definitely don't think that he's acting in any sense of the word.
And you know what? He brings so much positivity. Like every bit of time I spend with him, when he gave me his jersey back at the Austin Major as well, like
Yeah,
he's just so kind-hearted, and it's just refreshing. He's still young with it all, but I hope he never loses that. I hope that never goes away from him. I did feel bad when they got eliminated by Vitality. Let me just have a look at the score again. So it was never close, right? But it was a 6-6 first half on Nuke at least. For Tyloo, so there was a fighting chance in there. Then they got rolled over, but Jam Young was really critical of himself and said, like, to the fans in the loser interview that he was disappointed. By the way, great thing about EWC was like having translators. Having translators that can do interviews is super helpful for the
yeah.
interviewers on stage, off stage, whatever it is, just helping out with communication. And I will say, I didn't think that Jam Young needed to say that, like, he's sorry, but like he's obviously much more the um way other Chinese players have always been in the game. G is the opposite. G is definitely a bit more on the Western side, where Jam Young's what you expect from a Chinese player and how they've always been in interviews and how they've always conducted themselves. But you can see how much he wants it and wants to succeed and do well. And I feel like for them, they just want to make sure they've been the best Chinese team ever. And obviously,
Yeah.
if you go back to 1.6 days, WNV, I think they won WEG. If my memory, it's going to be a long time ago I looked at this. But it was Wisdom Nerve Victory. Obviously, that's like the most successful Chinese team. Obviously, the Mongols have now overtaken everyone in Asia, but Tyloo themselves are still chasing that dream of being the best ever Chinese team. And they're not far from it, honestly. I feel like you win Fissure, that's pretty good. But like if you can go and win or even place top 4 at a major or something like that would be
But this is
huge.
only because we're actually talking about 1.6 teams, because
Yes, exactly. They're
they are
definitely
in the CS:GO era. They're the best, like CS:GO, CS2 era.
yeah, I think what they kind of tied with the old Tyloo that made one game away from top 8, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to
That
think
was
because we got to
was that
compare it to where we are with like stage 2s.
somebody?
Yeah,
What was the Captain Mo? Is it that roster?
would have been Captain Mo back then probably.
I think so. Yeah, I
Ha-
guess. But I still think like if I maybe my memory is wrong here, but it feels like these guys have been a little bit like relevant for a little bit longer, at least in a competitive sense. I
It
don't
might
know.
just feel that way because of where we are now
This might be
compared to
recency
remembering back
bias.
then. Yeah,
Yeah.
feel like that's a bit of recency bias. I feel like they're still a step away from being considered the best Chinese team since
I'll
Go to
actually
go
check
into
that out
CS.
later.
Yeah, we can have a look through that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Tyloo did okay up until Vitality. I feel like they gave Vitality a bit more, maybe too much respect.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're like mega fans as well. It's going up against some very great players. The team that's won most things this year. So that comes in to be a factor of why they probably didn't perform as well as what they'd like to have done. I would have wanted them to at least take a map, and be able to make it competitive. But there's still a big gap between them and the ultimate like S tier teams. But they're getting closer.
Yes.
They're definitely getting closer. Um, the you know what, the crazy one here. I think I remember. I did say this to you, didn't I? I said that Liquid would win a map this time against Vitality. Oh,
Yeah.
they were so close. Oh, Twist was doing everything possible. Oh, on that Dust 2, Twist had a 1.81 rating. He was trying everything to make it work. And I'm just going to keep coming back to it. Yes, there are more positive signs for Liquid. They are going a step forward,
Yes.
but I still think they're one roster move away from this team being something we can really believe in some way.
Are you still gunning for NAF?
I'm not going to be pointing. I think Naf's not in the best spot ever, but he's not the liability. I don't know. It might give them until the end of this year. And I'm being very kind there, right? Because I said they should have made a change before, but give them till the end of this year now because of the major cycle and how things are working. Yeah. And they desperately need VRS points as well. But if it doesn't get better for a organization the caliber of Liquid, this can't continue. Even if you're getting rough draws, even if you're having to face Vitality in single elimination, like I just need to see a little bit more. That's my
we
problem.
can look at it even from like a ranking point of view, right? Since the start of the year, when did they actually get Shuei? So they got him, I think, around March.
Yeah.
So when they swapped with obviously JKS, they were ranked 11th in VRS.
Mm-hmm.
They swapped and they dropped down to 27th, and now we're back up to 21. So that's kind of the year since they got Shui. They started
Yeah.
at the point of 11. So they've been kind of going straight down, and now it's looking a little bit up.
But I will say Shuhei didn't have a coach an actual coach, that they're adding a standing in. So he gets a pass on some aspects in that sense. But I just feel like there's something missing still here. And I know now, obviously we'll talk about it later with Liege, but a lot of people are like, oh, bring a Liege back. I don't think that's a move that could fix things or make things work.
No, probably not. But also, to be fair, like they've had some rough opponents. Obviously,
yes,
they played Vitality twice now, which isn't the easiest starts to have in a tournament, no matter who you are. So I'm looking forward to seeing this Liquid against another team and seeing, okay, how much are they actually improved? Where is it? Is it just a case of Vitality and Liquid are kind of having their number in some sense? Or is it because Liquid are just, gaining ground, that is actually starting to become really, really competitive? I think it is the latter, but I'm still interested to see how they are playing against other teams.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously you hyped up Flashy coming in.
Yep.
And
I stand on that.
It seems to have had a massive impact for them. And obviously he hasn't had that much of like actual time, because I think you can't just blurt out structure and all of a sudden everything makes sense. So it's going to take some time for them to actually get that ready and actually make sense of it from everyone's point of view. But
And he's also
what you
coming
can
from Blade
say,
School.
yeah, but what you can say is that they've gotten an effect from this, and
Yeah.
I think that's clear. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how much of an effect. Is it an effect against Vitality specifically, or is it going to be way broader sense? I think it is a broader sense, but I still want to see them a little bit more.
Yeah. Going on to the huge surprise, but there is also, again, depending on how you want to look at it, a small caveat is Heroic eliminating Spirit. We joked about it. Remember, I literally joked about, oh yeah, today's going to join the team. He either like rolls over or he just goes super crazy one more time. Well, it wasn't just him going crazy. Youngster went crazy as well. I didn't get any confirmation from Spirit players directly, but they were saying that like Spirit players were sick. 3 of them were not feeling well. Okay, that's fine, but you did destroy them on the first map, 13-5, and then you lost Nuke 13-3 and lost it overtime on Mirage. It's the last event for Zontix as well. it's tough. I understand if they're ill, it's not easy at all. And one event's certainly not going to define what we think of this spirit. But it was that was probably the biggest surprise of the whole event.
It was, but I will say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're in Spirit's shoes, obviously, like looking at last event, you're kind of like, okay, let's leave Sontex, in the best possible way. Let's have him lift a trophy, do all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You're like super motivated for that. I think as a player, you're like, okay, let's just give it our all. But I think then comes the next tournament. I think that effect is just like dropped almost dead to some aspect, because it's like we've already given,
We got him what he wanted, or
this,
what we wanted to
yeah,
give him.
and you can't really go for the same. I'm not saying like they're obviously not playing worse by purpose or anything like that. I just think it's hard to motivate yourself when your mind is just set on a different future, when someone is going to come in, replace the guy, and you're going to be working at with something else. It's like a completely different project to some extent.
Yeah.
um and
Impending changes, impending like doom of mentality as well.
yeah, and I think you could see it on Donk, especially. I think it's just been like, I don't know, every time I see him, he almost looks more and more frustrated. But I felt like he kind of lost the plot in this game a little bit, Donk.
Yeah.
um
In what sense?
yeah,
What
he
do you think?
looked
Just like he's just completely out of it.
no, but like, I kind of mean like in the way that, like, he looked really freaking frustrated, and
Yeah, but I guess
it's
he
to a
thinks if he's looking at
sense.
the players on the other side, there's no way I should be losing to this. That's what he's probably
Yes.
saying to himself. No
Yeah.
way that should be happening. And then you can't even bail your way out of it. Like nothing's working, nothing's happening.
And I mean, that nuke was like terrible, um,
Yeah.
from Spirit's side, and I can't even remember when they got 3 rounds on a map,
Yeah,
like
there's not
almost
one that
ever.
sticks out in my mind. But it's also it makes me question things on just the spirit side of you couldn't even battle it back when you had the chances on Mirage to win. Because I can forgive a
Yeah,
loss like that, right? 13-3, but Mirage was winnable.
yeah.
And Mirage is such a go-to keen map for you guys. And almost every role, pound for pound, I expect Spirit to be better than Heroic and the players they have on it.
But don't you think like that nuke also kind of affected the way Mirage went on? Obviously, it gives Heroic a bunch of confidence, but it's also like they look at a team like Heroic and they're like thinking, okay, we should just sweep them under the rug, move on to the next game.
Yep.
In some sense, I don't think they go in with that mentality, but it's easy to get into that mentality. Um, and kind of trapping themselves where, like, okay, they start losing one round. Okay, let's win the next one. Lose, 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 lose. All of a sudden, they lost, what is it, 7 T round against a T side on Mirage in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like Heroic was winning clutches. There's 0 clutches on Mirage.
Straight out fights,
So,
straight out played.
yeah. So that must be like extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
Where I think they gave Heroic a lot of space, especially in middle. When I watched that game, felt like
Mm-hmm.
Tenier youngster could always like almost freely challenge pretty early from the kind of bench position in middle, and kind of bully their way up con in some sense, or trade it
Yeah.
down. But yeah, I think it set a tone in their heads, and it's just like, okay, at least this is the last time we're gonna do this together in a weird way.
Yeah. The problem is that then, okay, Aurora take down Spirit, right? They've got their changes they're going to go through. And now it makes me think that even with Tanier coming in, the adjustment
Yep.
period they need, they're not going to hit the ground running straight away. There's going to be some
No,
things they
no,
need to
no.
go through, right? But then on the other side, as soon as Heroic go to play Aurora, Zantares, by the way, beast mode. Like now he got to come back. He's all happy. But I didn't see the same many things come out from them. Like you can argue Dust 2 was close, sure. But I mean, that was when Nilo was in his best game, if possible. Tanier was playing okay. But it's just Aurora had control and Aurora did what they needed to do. I don't
Yeah.
think Aurora were massively worried at real any point from her. They're probably still just laughing the fact that, yes, thank you, Heroic. You took down Spirit out of our way. You've given us a
But I
fighting
think
chance in this one.
yeah, I think it's one of those things, obviously when you're a team like Heroic, you can't really compete against the top 10 teams if not every player wakes up and starts hitting their shots. And obviously
Yeah.
against Spirit, you had Youngster, you had Tenier like going beast mode, and the other players, they weren't bad. They weren't like even LNZ was keeping himself on a very stable, kind of respectable rating for an in-game leader. Um, and if you look at the comparison to the Aurora game, you have obviously minus 14 on LNC, minus 8 over 2 maps for Youngster, who was
Mm-hmm.
incredibly impactful, who's kind of like ruining Spirit at one point. I think these players need to be on that level if they're going to compete against the best in the world, and sometimes they're just not going to be at that level. They're going to have very high
Yeah.
highs and a little bit lower lows um than these top teams essentially.
Yeah. It's the reps, it's the understanding as well. It's the experience at the same time. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to touch on phase at all until we get to talking about like after we spoke about EWC. So we'll skip
Yeah.
them for now because obviously we've got to touch on the moves that FaZe are making, but there's some interesting points I can certainly make there. So the next thing we should look at, I think a quick mark. I know now, obviously, yeah, Mongols have won it, but Game Elysium was very disappointing. Did you see how
Yeah.
many more missed shots we saw from Kersey? And like he
No.
himself, he himself might be in his own head a little bit because he's missing.
I
Like we
did
spoke
see
about what he
his
was missing
interview.
before, and it's like I've always credited the fact that Ash has been able to make good picks with his analysts on what players they find and how they use them. Right, look at PR, look at how he's built teams before. Look at him having Immer on the team, for example. But Kersey right now isn't showcasing whatever they saw, and he is a liability. He's definitely a liability. And yeah, you played the eventual winners, but I would have hoped they were able to show a bit better.
I mean, when you
And
play
maybe this is one of
especially
the ones they
against
missed.
if you're playing and you're playing an overpass, your opener needs to pop
Hmm.
off. Like he cannot be in the
Yeah.
bottom side of the scoreboard. Um, and I mean, even with the new stats, he had a 10-16, 0.71 rating, minus 6% in swing round. It's really hard when you have probably the easiest map of all time in terms of oping because there's not a single
Hmm.
position you cannot op win. There's not a
Yeah.
single like you're not limited where if you're going for
Full freedom.
taking an initiative, you can do it in underground, you can do it long, you can take it in bathroom short, you can be
Yeah.
taking monster peaks. Like there's so many options that you're just in an almost 80 to 20% dual advantage versus anyone that you
Hmm.
should be doing better. And I also thought the first time I saw him, now I didn't watch this actual game, but the first time I saw him, I thought that he looked a little bit it's like you're showing too much of your body when you're taking angles so that if you
Okay.
miss there's a little bit of more of a delay before you're safe, so you're putting
Yeah.
yourself at a bigger risk.
So he's
um
overextending a little bit.
yeah, in his positioning I think
Hmm.
that he first time I saw him he was overextending and he almost got saved by the opponent kind of missing his shot and he kind of reacting and recovering. and not necessarily because he did something great to start, if that makes sense. He got caught
Yeah,
in
but good opponents like
positions.
the Mongols are going to get him 9 times out of 10 if that's what he's doing.
Yeah, so I think that could be one of those signs where he needs to just get a little bit more comfortable playing the tighter angles, because I think when you're a little bit of a worse player, you tend to move out a little bit more into angles, um, either to surprise the opponent that you're taking an off angle, or in terms of like, oh, I just see a bigger gap if someone comes, and people are worse and not gonna kill you instantly. But if you're playing like on
Hmm.
nuke, this like mini gap through the window by the ladder under heaven, like
Yeah.
the best player is gonna hit some of those shots, and you're gonna get the info. You can play off that by communicating, and the best players do that. The other ones, they'll go up on the stairs and try to just kind of show the other people on the server who's boss, but that's not gonna work, as you say, against the best players in the world.
Yeah. Definitely not. And they'll take full advantage of it. I'm interested to
Yep.
see what the next events can hold for him because they can't keep bleeding out like this. I hold Game of Legion to a higher standard because of what we see from Ash, all the things we've heard. We had him on the podcast as well. I believe they can find a better way of doing things, but he might not last much longer if he keeps going like this. Uh, one
To
we have
to
to
be
look at
fair, I
as
mean they've
well.
struggled with older operas right now, so
Yeah,
it's
maybe he's good at picking everything but the AWP.
yeah, maybe he's a
The AWP
great
eye test
rifling
isn't
coach.
working. He just can't pick out the AWPers. He needs someone else to be his AWP spot for him. Just go find someone who's a dedicated, trained sniper finder. Go find himself the next Munacy or something, depending on what he wants play style.
Which was a
Um,
rifler. He should just take a rifler and convert him into an opera.
yeah, some of the best AWPers end up being that way, right?
Yeah.
It's happened many times. Now we got to look at Falcons taking on G2 because I thought that was going to be more spicy than what it ended up being. I really wanted to see this be like a game Falcons struggled in, but this was not the same Falcons we saw back at Cologne. This was
To
a
be
better
fair,
performing team from Falcons side.
they were much better at closing, something they were when they had Magisk. They consistently, when
Hmm.
they got into high pressure situations, like overtimes, especially against Mouse, they had a couple of series where they just every single overtime they ended up winning.
Yeah,
And I think they started off both games really close. I actually watched this today. So both games were super close, and I actually thought that G2 had advantage on Ancient. They kind of forced Falcons and was a little bit chaotic, but Ancient kind of is as a map in general. Um, so it was a little bit streaky and not super tactical or team playish or whatever you want to call it. Um, so I think it was 9-9, and Falcons were on like a half buy or an eco, and Falcons eventually won that, and then they just started ripping G2 apart from that.
yeah.
Um, so I think it was a pretty close game. I think if they started to converting that one instead of forcing themselves into a bad situation, it could have looked a little bit different on at least Ancient.
I would say as well though that like the positives I saw from Falcons was this wasn't just the Kyosuke show. Yeah, this wasn't just him owning and everyone else looked floundering. They looked like they were a bit more together, a bit more understanding of how they wanted to play. And also, it pointed out some things to me. For example, Hunter obviously needs more experience than IGL. That was always going to be the case, right? Definitely got a good
Yeah.
brain on him. I'm still excited to see what he can do. But I know I don't think G2 would ever go. So I did an interview for the broadcast with the owner of G2, Albin, CEO. And he said like they're modeling the way they build their team now, not on superstars, but kind of similar to the Navi system where like the coach attracts the players, which is definitely possible now. You have Saul, yeah, and I'm not going to say after one event, like remove Sun Pius. It's one best of three, yeah, in terms of this event. But I just felt like if they had a simple, just imagine G2 simple. It won't happen, by the way. This is just in my own wild fantasy. But a G2 simple move would be like could fix a few problems I saw. I feel like that could be
I mean,
a nice
if
move.
if Sasha keeps wrecking it up in tier 2 like he's been doing and finding a little bit more, consistency with it, it's
Yeah.
not out of this world. It's not out of the
Good luck
world,
being able to buy
you
him from
know.
BC Game now, though. Someone's gonna have to come with huge pockets, fan. Huge.
True,
I have no
but
idea on the contracts.
I'll agree. But I've always thought that Sampaio's kind of, I don't know, man. He seems to he struggled a little bit when he's not the vocal point of the team. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? Like,
But Saw
I
would
feel
know that. They've worked
like,
with each other for so long.
but it's
He
like
should know
in
how to use
ends.
him.
In ends, he was like their main star player. I felt like, where
Yeah.
everyone else were, kind of supporting him and everyone listened to him a lot. I think the same happened when he went back to Heroic. When he went to Falcons, he dropped in
Oh,
levels. And now
he was
when he
out
went
of
to
it.
G2, he dropped in levels. And
Yeah.
he is not, the main guy anymore. Um, and I don't know if that is it, but to me, it looks like that could be something part of it. That maybe he is not getting the room that he is used to having and kind
Hmm.
of questions himself a little bit because there's no doubt that he has the ability to be, a tier 1 AWPer.
We've
That
seen it.
would like, yeah, we've seen it plenty of times, but it seems like when he shifts into this team where there are more stars, there are people that get a little bit more attention or maybe a little bit more service than he does, that he seems to struggle a little bit.
Yeah. Like it needs to be set up more.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Or
something to keep an eye on.
at least maybe have more freedom, but maybe because Hunter is like a new IGL, he doesn't really know what to give and what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe,
But that's what I think Saw can fix. Right? That should
yeah,
be something Saw, who's worked with some bias now across two different teams, can work on and fix without a doubt. There's one more game in the opening games we didn't touch on yet, and it's not super interesting one, but I just want to talk about the veto and how scary it got for Mouse because VP, we always say we never know what we're going to get from this team.
which is true.
I'm still I'm still not happy with what we see from them, but they did win in Therno 13-6 against Mouse. Solid. Okay, no complaints there. They then lose 13-4 on Mirage. I feel like some of the individuals on this team, if I'm just thinking of Flit or Fame, for example, yeah, even Electronic, they should be able to do so well on Mirage. But then I was so confused because Overpass was the decider. So Mouse removed Train. Obviously, at one point, VP was picking Train, but they went for the Overpass, yeah? When I think of the players on Virtus Pro, James was known, so his core, Flit, him, Fame, yeah. Obviously, I know James not there now, but they played so much Overpass, were
Yep.
dominating majors on Overpass. And then Navi of past old, so that's Perfecto and Electronic, they were also good at Overpass. And if I go on to the Overpass rating, Icy was the highest rated player as an AWPer. So I felt that that was a big risk for Mouse, and they nearly threw. They nearly threw it. There was at one point I really thought VP were going to get it, and Mouse was going to come crumbling down. So I'm not going to be negative on VP on this one because they did
This
okay.
is a good this
Yeah.
is a good result. I mean, it
Yeah. They,
pushing
like,
one of the best teams in the world to that point. That's probably where they should be and where we expect them
that's
to
my
be.
thoughts.
You know,
Yeah.
VP for me, they should be around there where maybe Aurora is right now in terms of level.
A
Obviously,
little
now
bit
they
lower.
obviously a little bit low, but around there. They shouldn't be, a top
Mm.
15, 17, 20 team. They should be around
Yeah.
top 10, at least.
But do you remember not so long ago we had the conversation about Perfecto and we said about how a year break from competitive CS is like a big one?
It's
I'm gonna have to,
huge.
before I say, I don't want to say any lies here, right? So I'm just gonna make sure I bring up Perfecto's actual stats. But I'll just say I'm not impressed with him, and it's still early days. But it's like I need to start seeing a little bit more, just a little bit more, because the online stage that they qualified for, Blast Bounty, 0.84 rating. The LAN finals, obviously, they lost in the first game. They just played 2 maps, but he had a good rating. But when you're losing anyway, it doesn't really matter what rating he has. And then here, a 0.84 rating. If we can just get a bit of that super support perfecto out, he's still a young player. He's only 25. He's still, I believe, more than capable of understanding the game, reading the game, and being great clutch factor. If they can
Yeah.
unlock him, if they can get him comfortable again, then they can break into that spot we're talking about. They can finally see this VP rise back up again.
I think so too, but they need his Navi levels for that to happen, right? They need him to be
I'll give him a
um
little bit under Navi levels. I'm not going to push him to that yet because he still needs time. But like, if we can get him just closer to that, right? Like, bring him to some of these just solid anchoring, good holding down position, helping his team. It was always the crazy thing about Perfecto was, right? You would see him maybe not rack up the kills, but he would win important rounds and make big differences.
yeah.
And that's what they
Which
need him for. That needs to come
which the
alive.
new HLTV rating 3.0 should help him with.
Yes.
Something we haven't brought up yet. The new
We'll talk
way
about
of.
that when we get into the news bit because I want to pick your brains about it because I don't fully
Okay,
understand it. I'll
okay.
be honest. My brain
We
was
just didn't have
fried
it
by
in
this
our in our
change.
in our prep document. We haven't added it, so that's why I.
That's our producer Ivan's fault. Failure of a human
Oh.
being. No, I'm joking.
He's listening
He
live
got
right
thrown
now.
into this. He's got thrown into this because we decided to film again straight after I finished work. But yeah, no, I will bring that up. We will touch on that. So
All right.
overall, we're both positive in the result that Virtus Pro showed. Even though it's a single
Yep.
elimination, they lost the game. They had a very hard team to play into it. We kind of touched on Vitality, Tyloo. Mongolz 3D Max, right? Became an interesting game just because I was so confident when I saw the map pool, Ancient into Inferno, Mongolz picking Inferno. I was like, 3D Max didn't stand a chance. Now, I felt like most of the time, Mongolz had control of the series, no matter what. But I did expect a 2-0, and I'll just say, well played, 3D Max. Maka he's unleashed. He's feeling good. He's feeling real good.
Yeah, and I mean that's something they talked about in their interview. I think I saw on HLTV where that was kind of the main purpose of the in-game leading switch was to kind
Yes,
of get a little bit more star power into their lineup by giving Maka more freedom, more time to kind of focus on his game and his kind of initiatives and solutions in the middle of the game instead of having to think about the whole team.
especially for an AWPer as well. I know we've seen many great AWPer in-game leaders, but I think there's a big distinct difference between the AWPers that can change a game and then the ones that have to call and do it as well. Like, it's sometimes so rough. I wanted to ask you this about 3D Max actually, because
Yep.
Gravity has never been a player that pops off the page for me. Yeah. At one point
Yep.
when he first came into that team, some French people hyped him up and I started to look at him, but he wasn't in star positions or roles. He can just be a solid player at times, but he was never the pop off standout player. Do you think actually he could have a better performance now he's IGL because of the control he might have and how he'll be able to move things around? Like, this might actually suit him because he's young, man, and he's taken this over. And I'll just say big respect to him for doing it because it may have bought him some more time in the team, but if everyone can start like following his way and enjoying it, and remember, he was the one doing like the trash talking and stuff, so he probably can give them a bit of the extra motivation in game, a bit of the morale boosting qualities as well. Do you think he can actually play the same level or even a bit of a better level because of what he's doing, rather than have the typical IGL drop off?
I mean, there are certain kind of players, and it's usually is when a support player becomes an IGL that they
Hmm.
can become better because you're so limited in the what you can do, and also you're
Yeah,
limited in the way that someone else sees the game, not necessarily how you want to approach situations. You're just kind of a foot soldier in some sense, following the rules and trigger points
Getting on
that are
with it.
given to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that sense, I think that in an IGL role, he will definitely have more opportunities to kind of, because he'll have to kind of switch roles to some degree,
Mhm.
especially on T sides where he needs to be more central to be able to dictate where they're going, essentially dictate the calling. So in that
Yep.
sense, yes, I think he's probably super motivated. And there's one other thing that, as an in-game leader, it's almost to this sense of delusion of power, where now you're the in-game leader, so you cannot do anything wrong. So everything you
Yeah.
think of is right.
I'm the genius now.
So I think it gives you a little bit more, kind of in a weird sense, like if you embrace the role, it can go both ways, that
Yeah.
you get hesitant because you're just wanting to find the right solution. But if you actually, I need to step up, I need to show the way, I need to be the leader, and kind of embrace
Mhm.
that role, I think that you can have a really positive impact in your own game because of that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm again. That's the thing. It's just the first event, but it's interesting to have a look at and see what he can do rating wise, how he can push himself around a bit more. I'm also interested to see if him and Body will now have the same ideas, right? Because when Body first came to the team, they were saying like Body was there to help with being a bit of a second voice, considering he was cooler before when he was on Fnatic. He didn't want to be cooler, but he can help with ideas to Maka. So now you've technically got like Maka's going to have some ideas, Body's going to have some ideas, and Gravity's going to be leading. Like maybe we end up with a problem where there's a bit of overlap, but as long as they can all agree on things without having like an internal problem, it might be something we can look at where we actually see 3D Max break through the barrier that has been there all of 2024, where they just were not able to go a step further.
Yeah. And obviously, Body had a little bit of a rough series against Mongols, if I look at the stats here.
Yeah. That's only one game that I'm not gonna focus in on him, but it's more the later parts of like if they don't see or agree on the way, then a change is gonna be coming again, because there could be too much in here.
Yeah. No,
It's
but
definitely a possibility.
I think it can be good. I think they've played with each other for so many kind of iterations that they should be able to kind of find that balance. I think it's much harder if you're a strong personality coming from one team, never played with the new guys, you want to impose yourself, your will, and how to play Counter Strike, comparatively to this situation where they've all played with each other a bunch of times in the past. They know already what struggles they've had with each other as
Mhm.
players. They still decided, okay, this is the players we want to play with. So I
Yep.
have no doubt in my mind that they've discussed to some degree that, okay, we're gonna have the rule set that we're listening to his ideas first in this team, okay? And then we
Yep.
might go there. You can always call, but you might be in the third tier of listening level, so to speak. So I think
You're
because they've
last.
played with each other on so many different iterations, I think that they should know this.
Yeah, they should be able to find a way. All right,
Yeah.
so this game for me that we're on next want to look at, Falcons versus Mouse. This to me, it was only a quarterfinal, but this was the game of the whole event because
We did talk about this. I did warn about this. Falcons versus Mouse could be an exciting game.
yeah, yeah, because in general, Mal struggled against Falcons when Munacy first came to the team.
Yep.
They weren't able to handle that kind of star power that was in there. And now it's the first time they faced off against each other with Kyosuke coming in, or Kiyosuke, however you want to say it. And this was like, at one point, Munacy's having a good game. Then there's moments from Nico. Munacy had that insane clutch where it was like, I think 15 or 20 seconds left on the timer. He looks like he's going to save the orb. He picks up an AK and he just suddenly starts going for it, making all the noise in the world. Torzi throws a molly, has him like his grenade's still out. Munacy pushes the molly, owns him, and then gets the round after planting the bomb. It was absolutely nuts. It was a real Munacy magic moment. And for Maus, who've been such a consistent team, it must feel bad that you've gone to this situation again where you're overpowered, you get shut down a bit. Um, it's
I'm looking
it's
at
not
it
a
now. He had
terrible loss for
8
Mouse.
seconds.
8 seconds.
8 seconds when a molly is thrown in heaven.
And he gets that kill because obviously Torji had the molly in his hand, right? And it's like he can't get the gun out in time. Monacy just finds the feeling and the timing. That's what he does, right? That's what we know him for on these crazy clutches. But big mistake from Torji, by the way, just to say it out there. Better to just hold the position, take the fight, you know.
Well, I mean, he doesn't even have to
But
do
no
that.
one would
There's 8
expect
seconds
him.
left. Why didn't he just go behind the silo? He hears him all the
Yeah,
way. Like, why is he staying under there? There's literally 8 seconds from the clock. If he drops down and just plays the sound, there's no way Monacy is winning.
yeah.
Because he needs to run around the site and he can just listen and kind of, I always call it pole dancing when I coach. It's when you run around a pillar or something like that. I find it
Wait,
funny. You have to have fun when you're coaching, man.
you're just like, guys, he's pole dancing. It's just like I wouldn't be able to take that
Oh, but
seriously.
even in a
It's
serious match, I would be like, nice pole dancing, man.
Oh, you're so lucky that when you were coaching, voice comms weren't really a thing, man. We'd get some hilarious moments
Why?
from you.
Why am I
It'd be
lucky? I'm
brilliant.
unlucky because
Okay,
everyone would
unlucky,
love it.
yeah. It would be you would be making good quality content. You'd be top of Reddit with that shit. That's for sure.
Exactly.
But this game, I'm not going to say it's bad from Mouse. It's always going to be a tough matchup for them because of the raw firepower you have on a lot of these players. But this was the best game that I'd seen Falcons play. I think
But it's
this
also,
was where you start
you
to see
know,
things come together more.
obviously we kind of criticized the way that, obviously there was a lot of change in position and you couldn't really see the impact from Nico to the same
Yep.
degree anymore. I mean, all of the team kind of dropped down, but I think the most
Oh, I asked Nico
noticeable
about that.
shift. Yeah. What did he say?
So yeah, because obviously you did the devil walkthrough, right? All the changes. So when I got the chance
Yeah.
to interview him, I asked him about this, and he said like for him, it's a bit of fun to learn some new stuff and go into some different positions, right? But he's very confident that this is the right decision and that he is a type of player that can adapt and grow into this, even if it's going to be like some
It's a bit
growing
of
pains
growing
with it all.
pains. Yeah.
Yeah. So sounds like they're ready for the challenge. I also touched on it for Tess's a little bit that like his individual performance wasn't great, but he's doing what's needed for the team. For him now, he's like he actually prefers it that he's not more of a balanced player, that he's like full support player, you know? And it'll just take him some time to get into it because I know some people are like, oh, maybe they should have kept Magis, you know? And it's
I
too
mean,
early to say that, but it's like,
that is a comparison you can make. But I think the biggest
yeah, but
thing,
give Tessa some time.
yeah, obviously, I think everyone needs some time, especially when it's a big shift like this. Um, and the one thing I don't actually know how to check the stats, but it would be interesting at least to check a little bit how his performance as a support player kind of increases. If he gets better,
Hmm.
flash assists, flash timings, if he's better success rate with the flashes and stuff like that. Um, and also in the way that he kind of, because he plays, what is it on Nuke? Is it Kyosuke as ramp
Yes.
and Tessus is inside? I assume. Either way, it would be kind of cool to see how he's actually adjusting in some of these stat regards, um, and how it's working out. But it does seem to be like Falcons have found a way to find impact, even with Nico being in kind of stranger positions. I think the biggest change is not necessarily CT sides, maybe on some occasions, but mostly T side. Um,
Yep.
where he's not going to be given as much space, but he most certainly this event has found ways to be impactful even in these roles.
Definitely. And I think we can follow the Falcons thing because honestly, I had them making grand final and beating Aurora in the semis. But like their Inferno is still a problem. I feel like this is by far their weakest map. It's just continued to show holes and gaps, and that they're not quite on the same page with it, which sucks because it used to be such an amazing map for Nico. Like I used to love Nico Inferno games. Like that was always awesome to watch.
But I mean,
But
they
then on
were
the
good on it. Isn't it since that like weird clutch on the
you guys talk about a
major?
major one.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you could say
Maybe
that
there's
might
like
just
a
be the
boogie,
downfall
like
of
it
it.
says, it's there's
It's in
something
your
to it.
mind.
It's in your mind for a while.
You can't get out of it. Um, but I will say this, right? That looking at how they played on train also didn't inspire me. Losing somebody's advantage situation, losing some of these clutches, getting rolled on the B site over and over again. Like that was an easy point for Aurora to break through on the T side, which actually netted them some of them key rounds. Like it was like good smokes into pushing into the B bomb site. So one time, I don't know if it was Wicadia or Zantares, but like they'd push, maybe because it's a Mac 10, it was Wicadia, but he'd like push through the smoke that was flashed out to the connector, and then
Yeah.
jumps through. All the Falcons players are scrambling just to have the back of B site control, and he's just wrecking them all because no one knows what the hell's going on as they're trying to find their way into the site. And it's
But
like
didn't
just
they
over and over
legit?
again, they weren't ready.
Didn't they legit lose because of? Wait, it wasn't this game, maybe. Ah, or was it? Was it this the major 1v3?
Oh yeah, yes, exactly, yes.
They literally lost
The
because of this
Magic,
round.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you
That
like, they got completely fucked money wise in this round, and they still made it
yep.
back to having losing 13-11. But this, I think they won the. So this was what score was it during this clutch? Let me check just quick. So this
Because they
was
actually had enough bank at
9-9.
one point where they kept
Yeah.
things going, and then these moments whittled it all away.
So this 1v3 clutch was at 9-9, making it 10-9. Then Falcons won the next round, then lost the next, and then won the next, and then lost. And I think because of that kind of swing of money, Falcons couldn't really control the game
Yeah.
anymore because Aurora could just keep buying and kind of reset their half buy situation constantly.
And then have some of the Mac 10s mixed in with it, and be a bit more aggressive, be a bit more poppy
And
in their
that
faces.
clutch is crazy to me to lose.
It's
It's unbelievably
insane.
insane because it's
But do you think they thought because it's Madja, yeah, that they were like, you know what? We can get away with this? Do
no,
you think they just
you
underestimated
wouldn't.
him?
No, if you like if you would underestimate an opponent in this situation, the first thing you would do is just call 1-2-3 swing, and everyone just swings out. If you are
Mm,
overestimating someone, then you'll play like this, a little bit too much of a pussy, and
hmm.
you'll let him take too much space. Because you have to remember, they're playing major. They have Monacy on an AWP. There's
Yep.
no one is peeking. They're scared. And also, if Monacy would have actually taken the angle even further back, just to control the space, so he couldn't go close box, just tuck into that box area, have Tesses kind of hold the angle towards the train, they would have been, I think, safe. I think they could have even, if they wanted to be long distance, just keep it long distance.
Yeah.
But no one wanted to make a mistake, and that ended up being the mistake. But I think the simplest
Playing
solution to
scared of
this
it.
is just peak. Like, don't be scared. Just
Yeah.
put it, because Tess is
It
obviously he
was
swings
wild.
out because the guy at box dies, and
Yep.
then Monacy tries to refrag Tessus, and it just becomes this weird tumble where Major is the one controlling the duels, and they are not. I think they should have just controlled it.
No, that was at least huge in the end. And then we come to the third place decider to keep following Falcons a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they again lose Inferno. It's Vitality's pick. It's kind of expected. It's just a weak point for Falcons from what we touched on earlier. Okay, again, yeah. I gave the excuse for the Spirit players because they were sick as well. But some of the Vitality players are also sick. Yeah. But you got 13 freed on train. It was a 9-3 T side from Falcons. Then they get a 9-3 T side on Nuke. On Nuke. Now, Monacy was farming.
Yeah.
And do you know what's crazy? Just set this in your minds. Falcons Aurora finished the night before. People may not realize this because the third place decided was so early. They finished the night before at like 1 a.m.
It's
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
1 a.m. Yeah. They finished at 1 a.m. So it's 10 o'clock for me. So 1 a.m. my time is midnight your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have then got home, been obviously really upset about the Aurora loss, probably debriefed a bit, and then had to get ready for the Vitality game. Yeah. So less sleep at that point, more tired as a team, not the best prep as what's possible. Maybe that was a good thing for Falcons. Like maybe that was
I
positive
mean,
because
Vitality could have gone to sleep like 4 hours earlier,
yeah. And I'm
essentially.
sure like Matt, their analyst, Xtaz, everyone would have been prepared, everything would have been fine, right? So on paper, Vitality would be in a better spot. If they're sick, they're ill, right? That can happen to any player, any team. I know we said about the red flag thing for Vitality. I messaged Flamesy and I didn't get any insight on the sickness, but I just told him like, don't let the hater comments because he's getting bombarded. I just said to him like, don't let all these comments get you down, right? Because you've still done something incredible this year. But this is worrying that because yeah, you can be ill. Players cannot be feeling too good. Yeah. But 13-3 on both maps. Slapped like this, and obviously Falcons super hungry to beat Vitality considering the games they've had this year against them. Yeah. How sometimes
I saw
they've
you
like
tweet
Melbourne,
about
one of
it
the
as
best
well.
finals. Oh yeah, the $1 million
this
on
was-
the line.
Yeah. So it wasn't just like third or fourth place, no one's motivated. At least, from an org
Yeah.
perspective, there was a huge amount on
Well,
the
someone
line.
tweeted me. Someone tweeted me and said, like, oh, the players don't care about the money the org could win. The org pays their salary. Yeah. And obviously, it's $1 million difference. So first place got 7 mil, second place got 4 mil, and then third place got 3 mil. But I'm sure Vitality would want that. And long-term life for players like Apex and Zai, we want Vitality, yeah? But they're not going anywhere. They definitely want their org to win that money. I'm sure. And the org's probably said how
100%.
important it is to them. Like,
I mean, even
you
in
can think what you want about EWC, but this is what it is, right? The orgs are there for this reason and having good teams in it to place high.
I mean, anything that they would win to the org is being reinvested into the team to some degree, to some sense,
Yeah.
for all teams across Vitality. So it's not
Yeah.
like, and I know for a fact that if orgs make this money, they will at least give you some kind of appreciation for doing so. Be it, something extra. I don't know, a first class ticket to an event
A
or whatever
Mercedes.
it is. Not. I wasn't going that route, but
No, I'm joking. I was just thinking of the old VP one, but yeah.
but so I get it to some degree. Yes, it's tough because you are disappointed you've lost. I think it's a tougher game to go into. It sucks for competitors, but not for the competition.
Yeah.
To have third place and fourth place matches, but it still was a huge amount on the line.
Yeah.
We're talking about could be a Falcons player in terms of investment.
No, some of them are too expensive there, but they're above that 1 mil. But
halfway there.
Halfway to some of them. But this is the crazy thing, right? Is I'll even give them the pass on that they were sick, but we're still lacking seeing that vitality that like they lost against Mongolz. So we can transition from Falcons now because obviously they got third place. Monacy, by the way, a little bit overhyped in his HLTV interview, like saying this is the best Falcons has ever played or something like that was the quote. And I'm thinking, okay, like You did beat Vitality, but let's calm down for the moment. We're not quite there yet. But like Vitality's run, 2-0 Liquid, 2-0 Tyloo, and then I had no problem with Vitality losing Mirage to the Mongols because they've lost it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dust 2, they beat the Mongols, solid game. Nuke, they were down 10-2 on the CT side for Mongols. 2 T rounds. They were scrambling. Nothing was going right. Nothing was going well. And the problem I have with this, if this was a few months ago, I'd go, yes, this Vitality can bounce back. Just looking at the cameras, I didn't believe that Vitality could bounce back in that one. And obviously Apex has had his tweets and stuff, and he said about the real fans not supporting him. I'm a fan of the game, and I know what they can do. I'm not going to say like they played badly, but this game was below their normal level. And
But there's
it
also
might be where I
one
start to
more.
say,
There's one more thing. Obviously, on the Mongol side, you have players like obviously Techno, like just fucking having the most amazing tournament ever. You know, from
the
being criticized to being
unexpected
like,
MVP.
you know, criticized the way that Vitality maybe is at the moment, to kind of having that resurgence to now, you know, having the best tournament of his life,
Yeah.
hosting an MVP. And in this series, he had a 150 rating.
Well, I know his rating on Nuke was high. I didn't know what his series rating was. 150.
Series rating 150 against
Decent.
Vitality.
Decent. Yeah, that's that. By the way, that's not Techno we've seen ever. And it's not about just like this event. Like, even when Techno's had good games, I don't remember Techno popping off like this.
Yeah, but that's insane. So in that sense, if you have, you know, Sensu, obviously a poor Sensu who finally thought he was going to get an MVP, Techno just rolls in and steals it.
I had the same conversation with Mazzinio today. I said, like, I was like, so 910 got the Yellow Compass one, right?
Yeah.
When we were in Abu Dhabi. That's fine, because 910 can frag out. But I was like, Senzu plays so good at Austin Major. He had these crazy moments. Okay, people called him a bit of a group stage warrior, but like, he's sharp, right? His aim is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so he comes to this tournament. He's actually playing pretty good as well. And then Techno all of a sudden life games the whole tournament to be like, oh, this one's mine, buddy. The
Did you
stats
see his
well,
tweet to HLTV?
We'll come on
like,
it. What? Who? Senzu?
So HLTV was like, they posted like, like Techno earns career first MVP, like a well-deserved MVP from HLTV. And Sensu just reposts it with a question mark. Like salty as fuck, you know.
No, but do you know what? Senzu is real.
No, but obviously
good
it's a troll.
with like memeing. Yeah, he's full.
Yeah.
When we get into
Obviously a
Mongols,
troll.
I've got so many.
But
I've
it's
got so
funny.
many stories. I've got so many stories when it comes to the Mongols. So let's get close to the finish on Vitality. Before we were saying, yeah, we're getting close to red flag. Now, because they were sick, I'm not going to say red flag, but I'm going to say they need to go a bit backwards now in terms of how they approach the game and what way they want to play, and getting on the same page again to find their belief in each other, because they had an incredible year. And the desk put this perfectly, right? Moses, Yanko, Pimp. They said like Astralis had their era, and there was a whole point in the middle of their era where they were just playing terrible, early dropping out of tournaments, not making. Vitality is still going semis. Vitality is still going deep. So they can recover, right? And I said this already. I expect them to bounce back at this tournament. But maybe we're at the point where we need some rejuvenation, some reworking of some things, you know? Like,
I think 4 days between tournaments,
they're starting to stress.
It's tough. It's tough.
But they're starting to stress now, you know?
Back.
Expectations are so high. Apex is fucking tweeting in French only, you know? Fans are getting to him. Like, when you've been on that level of top and you've been hit with all this, and I love Apex. We know how emotional he is, yeah? But something is like, we need a, not a break, but we need a little bit of time to rejig things and figure some things out on what they want to do going forward, because otherwise I can see them getting too tense and too stressed. Because do you know what? Mazzino said the best thing in the interview. He said, after beating Vitality for the first time at Blast, it felt like the chains had come off, you know?
Yeah,
And that
they're
confidence carried
immortal.
into this next game where they went, aha, we can get you. You're not going to beat
But
us again.
it's the same thing that happened with NIP. They were 87-0.
Mhm.
One person starts beating them, and everyone looks at you. You're mortal now. You're not immortal. You know, like we can take these duels. They can lose duels. Look at what these guys are doing. I'm equally as good as this guy, and they just beat Vitality. You know,
The fear's not in your
this
mind anymore.
yeah, you have no respect to the same level of degree. Even though you as a player go into a match, you're playing one of the most legendary players of the game. Um, you're automatically gonna have respect. Like, doesn't matter how much you wanna erase it, it plays
Yeah.
a part. And once people kind of break that and show you that they're humane, everyone's gunning for you. And I think the same thing for Vitality. You know, I don't think they've worked in a different way, but I think that everyone else has. I think everyone else
Yeah.
stepped on the gas, and Vitality kept,
Chasing them.
kind of kept the same pace, and everyone has caught up. So they need to
Yeah.
start stepping on the gas. They need to start finding those extra percentages again to kind of
Mm-hmm.
keep that momentum going, because otherwise people are going to catch up. Now, as you say,
Yeah.
they're still getting semis. They're still in a very, very good position,
Better than
and they
the Astralis
shouldn't.
problem of
Yes,
old.
yes, they shouldn't panic, but they still need to realize that they need to gain a few percentage. They need to step on the gas a little bit.
Yeah. But but I think they need to step back from what I'm seeing. Yeah. Because if these
Okay, but it
frustrations are coming
depends.
in, if the
It
belief is
depends
not
on
going to
how
be
you view
there,
it. Because stepping on the gas can be okay. We're not going to this tournament. We're gonna be hightailing into practice. We're gonna be checking
yeah,
out
that's
everything.
what
We're
I'm
gonna,
talking about.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about.
But that to
Yeah.
me is still stepping on
I'm
the
not
gas a
saying
bit. Like,
no, I'm agreeing with you. But I'm not saying don't step on the gas. I'm just saying keep grinding, but take a step back, because
yeah,
you are now like spiraling almost. Yeah. And I'm just reading into the emotional side and what was said on interviews and like Flamesy, like if this continues to go this way, it only becomes bad. And obviously, we don't know what happens in the inner workings of the team. But like, if the fans were getting to Apex, and he said like some of the fans are not real fans, first of all, don't fucking worry. Like the real fans, the real fans, and they're the ones who win or lose, they ride or die with you, right? That's it. Like that's they love you guys. But Vitality probably amassed so many new fans who are just fans of the team for winning so much, and now they're
yeah,
not winning. They're obviously going to catch the L tweets, and they've had a whole year of not taking these tweets, right? So it's probably getting to him, and he's frustrated with himself. Like he's an emotional guy, so I just think take that step back in sense of looking at the game, looking at what you're doing, and then come back and still, like you said, go full forward, but in the right way of what you're planning to do or
yeah.
what you want to do.
Because it looks like they're 1-2 weeks off, like in terms of practice, to be back on their level. And I think it's really hard, especially when you're getting consistently negative feedback to reaching semifinals, to
Yeah.
make that bounce back. You know, like they're not doing badly. They are not. But
Hmm.
obviously, everyone expects them to beat records, beat all these things. They have a really small gap of margins to be successful, like super super fucking thin for them to reach everyone's expectations. And obviously they're not right now, but it's
Hmm.
so thin. For everyone else, you have a gap like this, like Mongols. If they would go out in quarters, no one would bat an eye.
No, no,
No one.
you're
And
right.
now
You're
they're
correct.
win. It's they have a huge gap, where people still love them, think they play great, whatever. But Vitality is like thin. It's like a fisherman's
Yeah.
thread, like you can see through it.
Because they were so good. Because they were so good as well, though, right?
Yeah,
It set a different level of precedent. And remember, this is the first time they've had to go through taking these losses since Rops has joined.
yeah,
Like this is the first time where you could look at, it's not a honeymoon period because it was so long, but that period is over, and now we got to learn how to deal with this as a team, because they've not
yeah.
dealt with this as a team before. So it's a new thing for them to go through. Um, but they've got the support staff with them. They've got the people around them. They know what to do. I just want to see them do it. So let's get on to the last two teams, the teams that made the grand finals, Mongolz, Aurora. And let's start with Aurora, then we'll go on to the Mongolz. We'll start with a bit more of the negatives. Now, the great thing is for Aurora, first grand final.
You said Mongols.
Oh, sorry. The negatives on Aurora. I'm reading things as well as talking. These things are hard. But
you mean
Aurora,
FaZe or what?
Yeah.
Is FaZe the next team after Aurora? Or did we not touch on them?
We're not touching on FaZe. Are you awake?
No.
I said we're not doing FaZe until we get to the Elise news and stuff like that. So we're leaving FaZe. The only two teams we're touching on now is I'm the host. You shut the fuck up and just get on with what's going on.
Every time off camera you say I'm a co-host, and now live you say I'm not.
No, but this time you just completely lost it. You said you're tired already. That's it. The All About Counter-Strike podcast has ended. Relationship ended.
Looking for HR representatives.
We could never have a HR department. We'd never have an editor or a producer ever again. It became over. Oh, dear. No, my point is just the last two teams we need to touch on for the event side is Aurora Mongolz. So what we're looking at is Aurora. Because first grand final, since Blast Bounty. And the way I pitched this thing was they've made a few playoffs, sometimes not making playoffs this year. Yeah. They've had painful playoff failures and then some losses along the way. And then they came into EWC. Zontaras, by the way, maybe skipping Cologne was the greatest thing he could have ever done. I didn't think I'd say that, but he came back like he'd been on holiday with his family, with his daughter. You know, he'd come back into it and he was like, the Terminator's back. Like, I'm going full on. He was just, bro, some of the clips was like vintage Zontaras. If you're a Turkish fan, you were living the absolute dream this tournament with him. And it was impressive. But I will say this, right? They've had a performance coach and analyst for the first time joined 2 months ago, yeah? And I touched on an interview with Maja. We touched on the news during a podcast, but this is the first event they've actually been at ever. So this is the first event they've come to with the team. And the Maja said to me, it's all new. It's the first time. So like the performance coach can only add so much, right? This is still going through it all. Analyst is just helpful because it means Maja loves to do everything himself. He wants to be very involved, but it will give him a bit more. Yeah, he actually gets to have a rest sometimes, get some help. You know, there's some other ideas coming in with the prep and things. But I will say this, right? Even though I'm trying to look at the stats now of where the Aurora players was. So Zontaras ends as the highest rated player on Aurora, 1.30 rating. That's really solid from him. That's absolutely great. Wicadia had a fall off once they got deeper in the tournament because he was the top at 1 point. Woxit 1.13, Wicadia 1.11. And then obviously we get further down the field. Jota, it was pretty bad. He was lower than Maja, 0.84. And Maja 0.86. Obviously, this is after the final results came in as well. I'm not holding numbers against these players at this point. I will
most
say
of that is because of the grand final. Because I think I'm pretty
especially
sure
how it
most
ended
of
on
them
Nuke.
were above 1 rating before the final.
Yeah. And so let me give you this. Something happened. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But Woxic tweeted that he lost his mousepad. Yeah, he thinks maybe a fan stole it when it was going through the security scanners or something. It was a very busy area. Something happened, right? That's shit. I think this has been said maybe on multiple podcasts, shows for maybe the last 10 years. Every player should have 2 of every equipment. And it's not expensive. Most of them have got sponsors equipment. Most of these companies will send it to you for free. Just always have a backup, no matter what. Because I saw, I checked, he wasn't.
Most people even have like from the actual companies, like, you know, obviously Razer, they have had Jimmy kind of walking around all the time, and he can kind of fix things.
If anyone ever needs a Zowie mouse, I've got it. I've got Zowie mouse with my backpack at all times. At all times.
There are always people, even at events, giving out this kind of stuff, especially to the pro players.
Do you remember Big Uzera? I gave him my mouse at the Copenhagen major. and Payne went on that tear like further than they'd ever been before. He was actually dominating. He just said, "Can I keep your mouse?" I said, "Yeah, sure, whatever. You can have my one if you think it's something special." Obviously, it's a bit in the mind, of it all. But
But I
I felt
also
bad for
point out,
Woxy because imagine this: before the game, you don't have your mouse pad. You're now using another mouse pad that's not yours. That's mentally not a great place for you to be in. Yeah. And yeah, you can say they're professionals, they need to snap out of it. But these guys have never had a performance coach. They've only just got one. And I'm not using this as an excuse for them. I'm just saying that's a real shit situation to start off with. But then on Mirage, he was the star of the show. Him and Zontaras did everything. So I almost feel like it was a non-factor.
no, but everyone, even other players, will lend you their mouse pad if you are playing an official game.
Definitely.
Like almost no one would say no. Like
But
if
most
you
were
have
not
the
around at this
similar
point.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
most were
true.
not
But
around at this
I'm
point, sadly.
sure there's ways to fix it. But either way,
Not in the time it happened. Not in the time it
okay.
happened. This was the problem for him. He took a mouse pad that wasn't the same mouse pad as his. Yeah, because we obviously had like the Prince and royalty there. And so there was extra security, extra things going on. He loses his mouse pad. It's harder to get in and out of the venue. He obviously tweeted about it, looking for help, looking for support. He got a Zowie mouse pad of some sort given to him. It wasn't the one he usually used, but he still dominated. So it was a non-factor in the first map. Woxy was playing well. And I feel like they had their chances on Mirage, right? You're down 7-5 on your CT side. You struggled in the
Obviously, I'm
opening parts of
impressed
the game
they even got to this point on Mirage, because Mongols are usually
because how good it's
so
been.
dominant.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And then we go on to Dust 2. First half, 7-round CT for Mongols, not bad. Woxic, by the way, with a scout, was doing better work than an AWP. Like, it almost felt sometimes that him with a scout wasn't actually a hindrance. Sometimes it was aiding him more than if he had an AWP. He's
It's
just
one of those
that
maps.
crazy with it.
Dust
Yeah,
2,
he
man.
just feeling all
That
those
wall
little
bang on
angles, going
door.
around super fast. There was one time a player jumped over. Woxy didn't even go for the shot. Senju then tried to peek in, and Woxy just clapped his head before he could even finish the movement. Like Senju didn't know what happened to him. But I feel like, the biggest problem for Aurora, they lost, this is off memory, 3 or 4 rounds when they won a round with rifles, against rifles. Then they played against Mongols with deagles, pistols, maybe a scout or something else in there. And they got destroyed by the deagles. They were losing 2v3s to it, 2v4s to it. They were losing rounds that were like crushing mentally rounds. And I felt like they just got battered. There was even one round on Nuke where like they lost to Mizzino's crazy deagle. He had like 2 bangers and then the rest of them cleaned up. And then Zontares pushed, got the opening kill. They fought back and and I'm like, okay, you can come back into it. But it just felt like they were always fighting from behind off silly mistakes like that, where they were just not good at getting into these rounds against the low buys. And Mongols were just hitting and hitting again and again. And then that's where I felt like Aurora's mental can't take this, and we saw that on Nuke.
But it's a weird one, because if you look at Nuke, Aurora got the first entry kill 13 rounds against Mongols 4.
Ooh, 13-4 in entries.
13-4, and that's the scoreline of the map. On the other side,
so it's actually better than what you. Wait, didn't you bring up the stats of Mongols entering being bad last time as well?
Yes. So on Mirage they lost it 18-12, and Dust 2 they won it 15-7.
Oh,
and then they lost it again 13-4 on Nuke. But they're so good
while winning the map
at 4v5s. I don't know. They must have won the
What's
highest
their 4v5 win percentage? Tell me. Go look at it.
I have to check it. How do I actually check it?
That's insane. And also, people got to remember, let's have a look. How long has Mongols had the same players now? Like, when was Mizzino's the last to join? Mizzino and Senzu joined 2023 May. So it is over 2 years of having exactly the same team.
So I'll
They
check.
have been rocking.
I'm gonna check the stats for like per map. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And we'll take the last 6 months. Um, so if we look at nuke, say nuke
Mm-hmm.
here. So if you just look at so it's round win percentage, right? So they
Yep.
have a round win percentage after receiving first death of 34% on nuke. That's really high, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like incredibly high. I think being good is around 25%,
Yep.
and they have like above 30% of almost all maps, except Overpass, where they have 67% win rate after losing the entry. But that's only one map. But that's still, even if it's one map, to have 66% win rate after losing the entry, which should be, I think personally, should probably
Harder.
be more of a like 75 to 80% win rate after winning entry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you should be sitting at around a 20-25% round win when you lose. So having above 30%, I think, is incredibly high. And there is only one. They only have two maps where they're a lower than 30%, and that's Anubis and Dust 2.
Mm-hmm. This is crazy. These numbers are crazy. Their play is impressive. And obviously, Aurora, it's great they made another final. This is still very good. And it's great for national CS in Mongolia and Turkish CS as well. But Aurora crumbled mentally, couldn't handle the pressure, and have already struggled many times against the Mongols team. They had a lot going on in the back with the whole Woxig situation. It wasn't great for them, but they did so well to fight against the crowd against Falcons on the day before and win that game, and then come into this and play a grand final. But they're still not the same team in grand finals as what they are in the rest of the games. And play, it's still a small problem in here. And I don't know, like if they change Madger, say they kick Madger again, I don't know who you get. I don't know how you fix this because this shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Like they removed him before. I don't know who else they would get, but no one else I don't think would be working right now. And then even that 9-10 still goes missing, by the way, um in grand finals all the time. He's not the same player as he is the rest of the time.
But
Something's
if
in
you
his
have
head on it
Techno
all.
going covering that up with an amazing performance, because
You can't
obviously
rely on that.
910. No, but 910 is usually their win condition alongside Sensu.
Mm-hmm. But
So
it's getting them two on the same map together doing the same thing. But
yeah,
okay, so before any final thoughts on Aurora before we get into Mongols, because I've got so much on Mongols.
I mean, I think first of all, it's good they have Santaris back. I think it's a really good event for them.
Mm-hmm.
There can't be any complaints. I think they pulled over their weight in terms of like what you expect, because they've had so much kind of what do you say, even like trouble or with
Yeah,
stand-ins, and things being uncertain, and
inconsistencies and troubles within the team, and then even
yeah.
troubles on the day of a grand final to mentally wreck you some more.
So I think in that sense it's a really impressive win, or like second place, because they've started the season on a real bad note, and they've
Mm-hmm.
once they got their full lineup, they made a second place. I think that's great. I think just continue, and hopefully you'll catch up in some sense to other teams. And if they can keep this form with other teams struggling, they can be really, really dangerous.
Yep.
I just want to see them doing this in front of like I don't know how many actually were in the crowd in this event. Maybe you can tell me that.
Oh, I'd say maybe a few hundred. I don't know the numbers to be
It
exact.
felt
Maybe
more like a
you're probably looking
studio
at
kind of
a bit
crowd
more like a
rather
studio, I'd
than
say.
a big arena crowd. So I still want to see them be able to do this in a big arena crowd, because that's what's been missing. That's what they've been
Yeah.
criticized for. So I personally don't think this really answered that question.
Yep.
So I'd like to see them
Five
in a
to
big
six hundred,
event.
maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see them, wrecking it up with 15,000 plus in the audience.
But we'll get onto the crowd later. But next, we need to talk about Mongols. So now, talking about Mongols and what they've been through, what they've gone through to get to this stage. You can talk about it not being in maybe the biggest arena. It was a studio environment, a few hundred fans, maybe 500 fans. Hard to say exactly the numbers on it, but they were in Blast Bounty finals. They were in Austin Major finals. They lost to Vitality. They lost to Spirit. Now at the Esports World Cup, they face Aurora. They get the win. 910 still has struggles individually when it comes to performing in grand finals. He did have that insane 1v3 clutch on Nuke that was huge. And even if he didn't get many kills, like that clutch alone was just massive. That was so important. But this team now, do you know what I think people might not be following is Techno and Blitz have now played together for 5 years. That's the
What?
duo. That's the duo. 5 years since Checkmate all the way. I don't know if they played before, but from Checkmate to IHC to now the most. He was 15 years old when he joined up with Blitz.
Wow.
15. That's a long time of understanding each other, of them trusting it. And by the way, I did some content back at Cologne with One Expert and Mongolz, and they were saying how Techno does so much for the team. He does basically all of the talking in English when people need to order food, order taxis, do anything. Like he is not just a player, he is a backbone of that team because they are like brothers and they're all working and doing things together. And he's just so nice. Like
Yeah.
you may see Techno a bit more robotic on the interviews, a bit more like less personality than say Bazinio or than Senzu, but he is the backbone of that team at 20 years old. And yeah, 910 still struggling. Like Nero from HLTV?
Yep.
He does all the rating
Stats
stuff and
pages.
yeah, all the stats. And I was saying about like 910 in finals, right? It's just kind of never a factor, right? And where is it? He gave me like the numbers of that what he's had in finals. Here we go. Where is it? I'm looking for it now. And I'm just gonna give it to you because 910 is a great player. I'm never
Yep.
gonna say he's a bad player, but when it comes to playing finals, so Yala Compass when they won 0.89 in the final. Sky Esports Championship 2024, 0.62. Blast TV Austin Major, 0.70. Blast Bounty Season 2 Finals, 0.76. Here at the Esports World Cup, 0.83. Actually, that was just on one map. How much did he do in the whole thing?
0.90.
0.93. 0.93. So
Yep.
these ratings are not great for an AWPA, but he's still a team player. They're still all together on this. If they can unlock him, get this man a dedicated mental coach, please. There must be someone who can speak Mongolian who can do it. Help the guy out because we know how good he can be. And if you can unlock that, they are god tier. They are
But
actually
don't
god tier because I have no complaints on it. It's just it's definitely mental. This has to be.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think you should also look at it from the perspective where we had a 910 that was struggling in playoff just in general to begin with.
Yep.
He's obviously worked on that, and quarterfinals, semifinals, the higher expectations they've had, the more he has kind of stepped up and been an integral part of their success. So I see it kind of like if I look back at myself and when I
Mm-hmm.
started playing, you know, I remember we played officials. There were no streaming, no one was casting it or whatever. And I remember the
Yep.
first game that was casted. I think it was Joe Miller who casted my first like Counter
Oh
Strike
yeah.
game. I think it was against and faculty back in the days. I think
German
it was
side. Yeah, I
2000,
remember.
yeah, 2012. I think, or early 2000, probably 2012. And I was so freaking nervous. Like I pissed my pants. Like I didn't literally piss my pants, but I was so
Yeah.
nervous. I couldn't like comprehend what was happening. I grew over that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step was, oh my god, we have 1,000 viewers on our stream right now, and I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
to do the same process all over again. And it had to like continuously, you get more comfortable with the higher up you get.
Mhm.
um and I kind of see that being the case for these guys in the Mongols, because I don't see that they are not capable of doing it. um
Yeah.
because they were in the same situation we were talking about Aurora. Whenever they're in the playoff,
Playoff
in
game.
big
Yep.
events where there's a massive crowd and audience, they were struggling. They weren't the same
Yeah.
team, but they've grew past it, and they went to second place at a major. So I think there's still, it's not one of those things where he's always going to choke. I just think it's one of these things where, kind of what we were talking about Vitality, he just needs to have that one good game and a few
Mhm.
pats on the back from his teammates. This is easy. We need you, and he'll get
Yeah.
there.
The crazy thing is, right, we were talking earlier about how Senzu could have been the one to get the MVP. Normally, I've been tweeting this a lot when it comes to Mongols games, is
Yeah,
you get a 9-10 game or you get a Senzu game. If you ever get both them games, like both players playing well in a game, you win. Like that's the win condition. But this
yeah,
time it's a Techno Senzo wombo combo with a lot of Blitz in there as well. Yeah. Blitz had some
yeah,
amazing moments in this game. But I will just say this: Senzu showed us in this grand final that raw talent and that crazy aim, and how just slick he can be with some of these shots. The one taps, the fast decision making, the crouch down into sprays on short Mirage from when he was playing in Connector. Like some of the moments was just so good and so impressive that like he's almost guaranteed an MVP if they can have another run like this, if he can just unlock that on a more consistent basis. We've seen what these guys can do. And you know what? Mzinho will get no credit for this, but him on those Deagle rounds was so huge.
yeah,
Multiple 2Ks, both headshots, taking the space, finding openings. It's always him and Techno, right? The ones going first, going forward, kind of switching between it. A lot of the time it's Techno, but like this was like a perfect pattern for these guys. And you know what's funny? At the end of the whole series, +6, +6, +6 was Mazzino, Blitz, and Techno. +17 for Senzu, 9-10, -4 on his KD. But
yeah.
like it was a solid team performance, some really strong moments, and they just got better each and every map. They got more comfortable. And I'll tell you this, right? Um, Techno, Blitz, and Mazzino, after they won map 2, didn't go outside. So
Okay.
Senzu and 910 went outside. I don't know if they smoke, I can't remember, but they went outside. Mazzino was just doing like aimbots, so was Blitz, and Techno was doing like movement and throwing grenades. They were locked in because I had to do this little thing where I speak to Mazzino, take some information, and then give it to camera. But then the desk spent too much time. We didn't have enough time, so I didn't get to actually like report it to camera.
Yeah,
But Mazzino was just like, I'm locked in. And like, I knew from that point, I didn't know they were going to win Nuke so convincingly, but I just knew they were going to win this grand final because
yeah,
you didn't even go outside. You didn't even try to. Like, all of Aurora were gone outside to go talk, whatever they're doing. But like, Mongols were ready to just fight and get this win and finally get a grand final. And after the finals they've had, the depth they've had in multiple tournaments, overcoming hurdles. Like Mazzino saying, we basically live in jet lag, like they're always jet lagged. It's a crazy situation they have to go through. They never complain about it. They never use an excuse. We just mentioned like Techno and Blitz now playing together for 5 years.
yeah.
And they're still young. They are the youngest team that we have in S tier. Average age is 21.
It's absolutely nuts. And I'll even mention one thing, because I actually like Mousinho. When Mongols came up, he was my favorite player. Like, I
Mhm.
thought he was brilliant. He was aggressive. He was relentless. Like, once he actually popped off, he would, cute as hell as well.
Just cute.
Uh, yeah, but like insane to watch. And when you look at this
Mhm.
lineup and the progression from when I had that kind of thought, it's almost like Mousinho is the worst player on the team. But take it into context, right? Like if
Yeah.
you have Techno popping off like this, Mousinho, he's at the bottom, but he's still such a good player, and that just puts Mongolz into such a great perspective, because I'm not saying Mousinho is a
Mhm.
bad player. I'm just saying
Mm-mm.
that everyone is so good that you could have someone that good be your worst quote unquote player at an event.
Yep.
That's a great fucking sign, like it's so good for Mongols.
And you know the whole story as well, right? He replaced his brother on the team. So Bartak's his brother. He
Yeah.
replaced his brother on the team back in 2023. And they bring the young kid in who they saw the skill and potential with. And people may not see this. By the way, I said this to him personally, but I am so proud of him because he's a bit younger than everyone else, right? But he is very much into, I guess, TikTok culture, Instagram culture, stuff like that, music as well, trends. I think I told the story before. Like whenever I see him, he comes up to me and he goes, "My G," and we like dap each other up and do this thing, right? And that's such a British thing, but he's just rocking it and doing the whole thing. And he has so much personality, but this year he has evolved on doing content and interviews with dude. I sat down at Cologne and did like 4 pieces of content with him. He's got confidence now. He's talking, he's making jokes. Do you know what? I'll tell you this. This is the best thing ever. So they won. And in there, obviously, they do that whole ceremony. They put the key in the trophy. They have to go take a
Yeah.
picture with the prince and all the other things. But I waited the whole time for them to come back and pick up their like phones and their headsets, keyboards, everything they're picking up. And he remembered, but I'd actually forgot. He remembered that he told me, I said, like, you don't drink because he came to an after party one time and he's just dancing, having fun, but he doesn't drink alcohol. And he said, I only drink and have one drink like when I win a tournament. So the moment he saw me, he started laughing. He went, I promised you I would drink, but we can't do it in this country. Maybe airport. I was dying. I was dying because I was like, it had to be this was the tournament where you can't make your promise to me because, and remember, he's only just turned 18 as well. But he's like, yeah, won't be this event, not in the right country for it. And he's so funny, but like that cute element to it. And like, you saw when Techno won his MVP, he was like throwing glitter on front of Techno. And I feel like he's such a good personality for them. And he's showing us, the public, more of his personality as well. He's come on better in the interviews. I'm mega fanboying over him because he's also another part that we don't see so much. There's a bit of mystery around the Mongols, but it's so cool how they are together, how they go through this whole journey, how much respect they give to Mara as well, who obviously built this Mongolian CS from the ground up. Like, how old is Mara? I always say so. I always forget how old he is. So Mara is 35 years old, same age as us. Yeah. He has been grinding this, and this is the biggest achievement of his life. At 35, he's finally got himself to one of the S tier trophies. And he's so proud. The smile on his face, right, when he saw they won it. By the way, when they all won, they just got up and it was just like a normal win, just high
Yeah.
fives, kind of smiling. Mazzino, first one, just walking over, goes to say GG's to Aurora. They do the trophy lift. No one knew who was lifting the trophy, by the way. Did you see him? They were like, hey, no, who? No. And they were like,
It was Mousinho,
I
right?
think, yeah, was Mazzino though said like to Techno 910 to come and we'll do it together. And they were like, no, you do it, you do it. And he's just, okay. And then you see, if you look at the lift, Mazzino's got it in his hand. Techno's hand is here and it's not ever touching the trophy. He just like does this, like it's like a motion from the side going. Oh, they're so good. And I just think they are so real and they're so themselves. It's a beautiful thing to see. And they enjoyed it
Impossible
in
to
their
hate.
own way.
Like
Yeah, they can't have
there's
haters.
like you have to love them because they're obviously, I mean, you can watch the Reddit, the whole country is supporting them. They have the
Or the watch
square with
parties.
like a watch party and looks beautiful. They had the prime minister watching on a PC as well. I
They
saw
had
the post on
fireworks.
Reddit.
They had fireworks back there in the
Like
main city
there's
to celebrate their
so
win.
much love for these guys. And I mean, I, every time I watch them, you know, and I put CS on. My girlfriend is not into CS, but she's like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
Mongols. We want them to win." You know, like it's every single time. It's just they have this attraction. Like you don't know anything about them. You
Likability.
just look at them, and you just
Yeah.
instantly you're fond of them for some reason. And yeah, they're such a likable team. I think everyone
Yeah.
in that team has their own set of uniqueness to them that just
Mm-hmm.
it's a fun team to
And
follow.
it's now scary for other teams because if the chains got taken off when they beat Vitality, now twice,
Yep.
what's the chains looking like? They have freedom. Now they've won a tournament. Like they're going through now. And this is where I want to see them rise. First of all, this is guaranteed. Doesn't matter what version of Counter-Strike, they are the best Asian Counter-Strike team to ever do it. That's now
Yeah.
like that's not in question. There's no
Untouchable.
question about it. Because before it was about the WNV and stuff like this I was talking about earlier, or Project KR, or We Made Fox, the Korean teams, right? No, it's now just the Mongols. They're in a league of their own. There is nothing like it. By the way, another fun Mazzinho thing. I'm just bringing up the picture. We'll have to show this on the podcast. But this is how I told you he's in tune with like memes and everything. So he posted a picture. It's blurry as hell. He's got the trophy holding, the
Oh
gold
yeah.
chain, which is the medal. Yeah, and he put Bombaclat, rich millionaire. And it's like, you can't think of that cute little face just deciding to type this out. And it's pure happiness and pure joy. And I feel it for them. And like, it's one of these teams where I remember at the beginning when we had them for the first events, it was so hard to do any interviews. And I always say my goal and my job is to make people feel comfortable. And even now, they're not all comfortable. Like look at the poor Senzu on the winners interview. He was trying his best, but it's hard, right? And yet they're getting there and they're making me try even harder because I see we're progressing with them. I see we're getting there. And there's so much love they get from now, not just Mongolia, but the rest of the world, because people are seeing it and seeing them. And I still don't think they'll change. I don't think they'll change as well. I think they will still be the same people. This stuff doesn't get to them, doesn't bother them. Sometimes they like delete their Instagrams and social media accounts when they want to focus up. Guess what, by
Which
the
is
way? They're
fair.
not at Blast London. Oh yeah, I do that as well. Like if I was getting the hate they get, I would definitely do that. But they're not going to Blast London because it's hard for them to get London visas still, even with help from their government. It's just my country sucks. It's really difficult to get visas from if you're not like one of the selected countries,
Yeah.
But they're skipping that event, which means you know what happens? They're going to go home. There'll probably be some massive party in Mongolia again. All the fans can come, tickets sold, and whatever else. Big celebration of these guys. And then I asked Mazzino, like, what else you'll be doing? He goes, gonna play some CS. He's just gonna go back and play CS again. He's like, face it with 120 ping. Here I go. So they'll just be on the
I love
grind.
this
Some of them also go
comment.
see their girlfriends and family.
I love this comment
What?
from our producer. London visas.
Yeah, exactly. Not easy to get. Not easy to get at all. No one wants to go to London
Uh,
anyway.
Not
But
British visas, just London visas.
okay, the United Kingdom. United Kingdom visas. No one else is visiting any other part of my country. They only want to go to
True.
London. That's it. That's all there is. But yeah, the Mongols now can ride this wave, and that obviously the fact they've got a event break now. I think the next event we'll see them at's probably going to be Pro League. I'm guessing they enter. I don't know what else they enter, but this is something that can really benefit them. Are they going to? So they're going to Fissure, and they're going to Pro League. So we'll see them at Fissure
Okay.
and Pro League. Fissure, they're going to go up against like Falcons, Aurora, FaZe, Furia, but they should be grand finalists of that event without a doubt. They're going to be in so good a point for the VRS anyway, so life is going to be good for them no matter what.
They have a bit of a break now. Is it
Yeah,
almost 3 weeks?
and they're going back to Mongolia, like I said, having all that time, but it's well deserved after this win, man.
Yeah.
And they beat the tough teams on the way there. Only the final could be deemed as maybe an easier opponent because they have a good track record against Aurora. But I've seen so many positive signs from them here. And for them to finally be able to do it, this was a 3-0 final that delivered still because of the emotional part of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing them again. I think they're amazing team. I think if they keep this up, you know, watch out all teams. I want to see them against Spirit a little bit more because
Read that
obviously they
blast
have the
bounty, yeah.
yeah,
It was a rough
which would
one. It was a
be
rough one.
next one would be Pro League, right?
Yeah. Unless Spirit are going to Fissure.
I didn't see them
Are
in the
they?
list.
No Spirit Fissure. Yeah, so yeah, that's the next one's going to be Pro League chances. But you know what? We'll go from here then, because obviously we've been celebrating the Mongols and just
Yeah.
how amazing this victory is. Is that there's one thing I'll touch on is we saw about, like, you know, if people don't know, the fans, the crowd. The one thing that upset me a little bit from community side is that people were saying it was fake fans in the crowd. Now, the whole thing with Falcons is, first of all, it's a Saudi club, yeah. They have some of the biggest influencers, TikTok, YouTube, stream stars from the region, right? So they have fans anyway. Some of these fans might not know Counter-Strike at all. Some of them are just there to party or whatever. The Falcons Club runs a loyalty program. So like you go to see and watch Falcons, you go to these events. There's a loyalty program that's all connected with it to bring on support. But in general, the Saudi Arabian people, they want the club to do well. And the club championship is obviously very important to them. It's what's being promoted and marketed to them the whole time. But to say all of the fans were fake fans, I will just say, I can say what I want now. I'm not working the event. I'm not being paid to talk nicely about this stuff. But I will say I met many fans who were there last year who could talk normal about Counter-Strike. And some of them were not even fans of Falcons just because it was Saudi. Like, they were fans of FaZe or they were fans of Na'Vi. But then there's the other side, which I think is this was really wrong. Yeah. And maybe it was just misunderstood. We can bring up the page we've got up here of the Mouse Sports Superfan. So Superfans was an initiative set up, obviously by Esports World Cup, but it basically gives a all expenses paid trip. So flights, hotel accommodation, and tickets to EWC for superfans, and you have to apply on the Mal's website. Some gave it away to fans they know. Everyone had a different way of doing it. But you had a lot of Na'Vi fans, a lot of Spirit fans, Heroic fans, Mal's fans. They were the big set that did this and took on this initiative because it's all part of the club championship thing. Most of those super fans, if not, I'd say 50%, are fans where if you go and watch the footage from EWC and look at the cameras, these are the same people who have been at Cologne, who have been at Qatar, who I've taken pictures with at multiple different events. You can't call these guys fake fans. They're ones who obviously, like one of the guys from Na'Vi, he's got Na'Vi tattoos. One of them's Gavi. Everyone said he looks to look like JL. He got like same haircut. It doesn't look physically like JL, but it's the same haircut.
It's
Big
not that
meme was
like
joking
David
thing.
Beckham guy in
No,
London or
no.
whatever who did plastic
Not the
surgery
look
for
of
100K and looks nothing like him.
no, none of that. None of that. But like
Okay.
there are people, right? There are people who are regular real CS fans. And yeah, they might not attend an EWC otherwise, but because they are mega fans of the team, they got this invite, they got the trip given to them. And obviously, it was to make sure we didn't have the same crowd as we had last year, you know, or at Gamers 8 before that, and bring some more in there. And it did make it more lively, it did make it more fun. Yeah. But you can't call those guys who are literally deemed the super fans by the organization just because their trips were paid for them, because these are the same people I see buying all the trips, all the tickets to big events, coming to majors. Like, I've seen Gavi at so many events, and I'll just because I asked him, I questioned him a little bit about this, right? And
Yeah.
he said, like, the venue place, like outside of the arenas, has so much to do and stuff. And he said he met so many of the CS fans over the time that he was there. And he said, like, for him, he's on his like 10th or 11th event that he's doing at the moment, right? But he said, like, um, the whole experience that was given to them was good. Yeah. They got to watch the games. It obviously was not the same vibe in the arena as a Cologne or a Katowice, but there was like actual people who enjoyed CS, and if this is the way they've got to do it, because we've done events in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, now Saudi Arabia, right? We did Bahrain before and things like that. These arenas didn't fill out. It's not as like America or Asia. It's not like that. It's not the same as Europe. It's not doing that. But they're building something here, yeah, and they're trying to do it in their way. You
I
can
have a
think about what you want
question.
of it, but I didn't like the fact that I know some of these people from multiple events, and people are just calling them fake fans. Like, they were not paid actors. You can say what you want about the Falcons side. I already just explained that a bit earlier. But for the super team fans, they were general fans and people like that I knew, that I've seen at multiple events.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Oh, that's fair. So my question is, obviously, I don't know how many games are actually going on at the same time, but it seems like you were doing some almost weather reporting over at other kind of
Oh my
stages and stuff
God.
like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So my question is, how was the crowd in terms of, like, okay, you obviously went around to these different stages and did this reporting.
Yep.
How was the crowd for certain games? Was there any games that would be kind of like a surprise? It's like really big there in
Bro, Street Fighter was absolutely insane. I posted it on my story. Now,
really?
people may not remember, I used to host events in Street Fighter and Tekken. They gave me chances of their like big events before I had chance to do big events in Counter-Strike. I even had my own event series with Zowie, yeah, which was like the Banks Extreme series, which was a qualifier in the UK for British players and European players to qualify to an international event in Street Fighter. Problem X, legendary player, Evo champion, Hurricane, and Pax were all three players that won it, and then went off for this trip.
What's
Hurricane
the
played through
guy's
the
name who did the
LCQ.
intro for EWC? Who spoke 10 languages in one intro?
Ryan, bro. For you
Ryan.
not to know about Ryan, he
I
is a Guinness World Record holder. Yeah, for his
yeah,
most tournament wins in different games across fighting games. He is super knowledgeable. I'll say, like, I'm hyped on the FGC stuff. I used to
yeah.
compete in Virtual Fighter. I worked in Tekken. I worked in Street Fighter. And the crowd they had there, obviously they've got a lot of players. There's 48 players. It's a 1v1 game that take part. The organizations there, some of them are Chinese, Korean organizations. They had the super fans as well. But there was a lot of people, Saudi people, who were watching as well. And there wasn't a Falcons player that won or even went that deep in the whole tournament. So that crowd on the grand final, where it was a 15-year-old kid against a 36-year-old man, yeah, a 15-year-old kid from Chile who basically played against Zhao Hai, the previous year's champion. And Zhao Hai has been playing competitively at a professional level longer than Blaz has been alive. That's what's crazy. And obviously in FGC, there's a lot of older players who've still got that mechanical skills to do these games. They understand the combinations, the timing, the frame data of how it works.
They still
Before I get
play
too
with this
technical
like
with it,
kind of
it's
arcade thing, or
some people do the old arcade, but now there's a new thing called the what do you call them? I forget the name of them. It's basically all buttons, even to move now, rather than doing it.
oh,
What do you call it now? All button.
because I remember they always
Let
cross
me.
their arms when they play in these like arcade-ish controls.
Yeah. That was the old way of playing. So if we look
Okay.
at this, they call them all button.
See, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
just all button basically, but
I don't know shit
almost
about.
like having a keyboard.
Okay.
But it's less buttons. It's more like the punch, click, everything else. But you also move up, down, left, right with the buttons as well. Anyway, the crazy thing is that was probably the most hype stage. The whole time I was there, it was packed. I got a video where I can see like all of the people cheering from all over, and obviously it's a very multicultural, multinational game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just like it's Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, Chile, Brazil, all over Europe, the UK. It's just everywhere. Middle East, they have Big Bird and Angry Bird who come from the UAE, for example. Yeah, it's not too far away from Saudi. So like, yeah, that stage was lit. Some of the Crossfire stage was crazy for the Chinese fans. By the way, a lot of fans who are definitely not paid or super fans was the Chinese fans. Because it's easy to get to Saudi Arabia from the visas, I saw a lot of Chinese fans here. I guess they could fly over no problem. I heard there was a direct flight from Shanghai because one of the guys I did remember from another event, he told me it was just like a 10 or 11-hour flight from Shanghai direct to Saudi Arabia. So
Just a 10
that's
or
good for
11
them.
hour.
Yeah, but for Chinese, that's not far in
Yeah.
comparison to like the European flights and stuff, you know, that they're normally taking. But it's a good flight for them. Then there was also a lot of Russian and Ukrainian people that came as well. So there was a whole mix of people from all over the world because obviously it's a visa-free country. Or not visa-free, you get a visa, but it's an easier visa to get. Let's call it that, right? But that's why I wanted to just talk about the Falcons crowd. You can say what you want. You can look at it however you want. It's a Saudi club. We're in Saudi.
Yeah.
That bit we spoke about, right? Whether there's paid people or not, there are normal fans there. And if you ever went on the people who went will tell you, Falcons have like on the boulevard, they have a fan room. It's called the Falcons Nest. Me and Freya filmed an opening outside the front of it for one of the days of EWC. Every evening, that place is packed. They do meetings and meet and greets with like these influencers. It's packed. It's huge. These people are on the Falcons thing.
I'll
So
say
just because
this,
we
though.
don't know about it,
I don't doubt that for
Yeah.
a second, but I'll still think the memeing is funny.
of course you would. Of course you would.
I still thought Chopper's video was really
I'm not against
funny.
it. Oh, bro. By the way, I'm not against the memeing. I don't care about that. But what I didn't like is that the real fans from other teams who just had an expensive paid trip were called fake fans, because that's not true. When some of these people, like I said, they got Na'Vi tattoos. They have been at every event for like that I've seen in recent times. They're the ones buying the most expensive Cologne premium ticket. Some of them buy boxes at events, you know, up in the top in the nice like
the lounges.
You get food and drink and yeah, exactly. You know, some of these are legit fans. So you can say what you want about the Saudi Arabia situation, but don't shit on the fans that are actual legitimate fans. And I can prove to you from multiple pictures of multiple events. Like there's one guy, he showed me 4 pictures from 4 different events of recent times because they go that many times. By the way, I'll just on note, even away from Saudi, I respect so much the Counter-Strike fans we have who I don't know about their financial personal situations, right? But say they work a normal job and they still decide to dedicate their love and passion to a game that they are a fan of. Like if you are a fan of Tottenham, for example, right? And you love it that much that you buy flights to a foreign country, hotels, tickets, and they're not just doing it in Europe. When we were in Austin for the major, there were Europeans. I remember, I think I said it on the podcast, some guys I met from the Netherlands, some guys that came from Norway, yeah? And I've seen them at other events, and they're flying still, and that's not a cheap flight.
Yeah.
It's not a cheap flight at all. And even in Shanghai, we had some European people. That's crazy. That's a hard country to navigate if you are not speaking Chinese. Like
there were days where it was hard to even get people from other countries in Europe, where it was like a 1-hour train ride to an event. It was hard getting the kind of,
So I know we love on the internet to be so focused and tooled in on negativity, but we have so many amazing fans and we shouldn't be shitting on them because everything is part of this ecosystem. From, yes, we need the players to play the game and we need the tournament organizers to make the tournaments. But without the players to play the game, there's not going to be any tournaments that the organizers are going to want to make. And without the fans buying the tickets and coming to the arena and spending all this money, the players have got no fans and the game's not going to, you know, it's this circle. We need everyone. Yeah, we need everything.
I'd argue the fans are probably the most important part of it all.
Yeah, because if we had a game that was dead of fans, and people just played the game and hated the esport, none of this would run. None of this. No players that have the crazy salaries they have.
IRC and Organder channels. So yeah,
take me back there. They were good.
Winning mouse pads, best team in the world, 5 mouse pads.
Bro, I was paid for my first job within esports doing a news writing and stuff in mouse pads and headsets from Steel Series years ago.
Yeah.
That was
probably the happiest you've ever been.
Dude, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was absolutely amazing. Didn't have to buy that as myself when I was like 14 or 15 years old.
Okay, we should probably move along from this conversation a little bit. So we wanted to touch a little bit on the HLTV 3.0 rating.
Yeah, before we get into anything else, I need you to explain some of this to me because I haven't looked at it over this time.
So I've looked at it.
Explain for me and the viewers.
Well,
I know you didn't make it.
Well, I have read some of it, But essentially,
Okay, just
it
as good.
is. If we dumb it down a little bit, it's essentially we can look at one example on the actual article
Hmm.
where they take an eco-fragging kind of stance on things. So this is a game, Bet Boom versus Phase. So it's
Right, I'm scrolling
essentially
down.
less important kills will not impact the rating as much, and more important kills will impact the rating higher. So, for example, if you win a 1v3 round, you'll get a substantially more amount of rating comparatively to the past.
Oh, Elise
And
drops down so much
so, this is an
in this
example
example.
where he has 23 kills, 10 deaths. He has a
Hmm.
2.06 rating with 133
Yep.
ADR. And Brokey has a 14 kills, 9 deaths with a 136 rating. And since Elish had 9 eco frags against full eco, by the way, it's not 4 spies or anything
Yep.
like that. It's full eco. It's Glocks, whatever it is, pistols. Um,
Okay, wait a
he's
sec. When you say
actually
full eco, though, that could be like a Deagle or a 5.7 or a Tech 9 or something in
well,
there.
there's no armor. Let's at least no armor.
Okay.
So that actually removes a lot of Alicia's actual impact on the game because
Hmm.
he's not at a 2.06 rating in reality, at least in the context of a 3.0. He's actually at a
Yep.
141 rating. So he has 23 kills, Brokey has 14 kills. But by this kind of metric, it's judged that Brokey had a more impactful game with his 14
Yeah.
kills than Elish had with his 23. Because of those 9
We're going
eco
in the right
frags,
direction.
and Brokey obviously had a clutch incorporated into this stats. So that's
Hmm.
swinging him upwards with these 14 kills to be more impactful. Because, if you ace an eco frag, they jump out long on dust 2. There's 20 seconds
Yeah.
left. You're just spraying them down and it's over in a second. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's good
Yeah.
that you didn't drop weapons, but that's like the compliment you can get. They saved all weapons and kept their economy. But
Yeah.
that's the reality. So that's one of the big things. I do think it's slightly overtuned to the point where eco frags don't matter at all. And that
Oh, so you think it might
clutch
be too
kills.
much?
I think it's too much. I think there's some adjustment to be made where I still think you should have some impact from those 9 eco frag kills,
Hmm.
either in terms of you're saving economy, you're not dropping weapons, etc., etc. But I think it's, as you say, it's in the right direction. But I think there's a little bit of a learning period, just like we've had with VRS points, that we're gonna find out.
Yep.
Okay, this was a bit overtuned. That's my suspicion, at least. But I think it is cool. I think you can look at some like of the things that I pointed out in the article where some players are improving and some players are dropping in rating. So we'll see like 910, for example, is one of the players dropping in rating from 2.1 to
Oh
3.0.
no.
He
Oh
dropped
no.
only a -0.2 though. So it's not a
Okay.
big impact. But you can
Yep.
see some of the guys that has the biggest improvements is like Techno, Jimpat, Tesses,
Nice.
NQZ, and Twists. These are the 5 players that are like the most affected by it. On the declining
Yep.
side is actually Apex, 910, Device, Malbs, and Xertion, who are
Hmm.
the most negatively affected players on the team. But I
Desertions
think
is
it
a zero
is,
point 0.5.
yeah, that's a big change.
Yeah.
But personally, I think it is a little bit like, on one hand, it's a little bit of a nerf to entry fraggers who usually take space and are usually the first like kind of pivotal point, and they'll generally get a little bit more eco frags because of that.
Yep.
And it's giving a lot more impact to clutchers and closers. Like you'll see, like
Yeah, the late round
for
players.
example, like a Perfecto, who you obviously we talked about earlier in the episode, will maybe
Hmm.
get a little bit of a bump in terms of rating because of that historical impact, where you can kind of swing these rounds back from a disadvantaged position. And the thing is, they generally they count it also in the sense of the round probability they've had. This is how I understood it, that
Yeah.
if you have a round probability where you should be losing 99% and you win that, that is going to matter more than a comparable round
Oh,
that has a 70% round probability. So it's a bit
okay.
of a dynamic system comparably to just a set factor. Um,
Yeah.
so that's how I've understood the 3.0 rating system. But that's why I think
Maybe
it
you need to
might be.
guide them on 3.1 already. Start giving them some ideas. You would never get chatting.
Well, I think they're on the right track. I think, especially introducing, this swing round. This is essentially how much plus or minus you give in probability is what have thought it is. Maybe I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but like the gain in probability of winning rounds or losing rounds. So you'll see on the new pages,
Yeah.
you'll see like one player maybe have -5% in round swing. That means that he's obviously lost entries or kills, or been in situations where they should have won but lost the round. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I haven't studied it fully. That's like
Okay.
my
We'll
general
keep a look at it, right?
understanding
We'll
of it.
keep seeing.
Yeah, but I
But
think
we got to get through
generally
these last
overtune.
bits.
Yeah,
Overtune, overcooked, overdone. We'll have to wait and see if an update comes through. We need to keep moving because we are speeding
getting
slowly through the
late.
rest of the podcast. And late. I don't care about too much. It's only midnight. I'm only flying tomorrow, but it's more to make sure we cover everything in ample time so people are still watching and enjoying the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get on to the phase news because Elise is gone. There is no more Elysian phase.
Yep,
And I'm not surprised by this because I wasn't even a big fan of the move happening. It was a better move for Elise than it was for FaZe, in my opinion. And it's not because Elise is a bad player. It's just like I didn't see how he would fit into this team. And a lot of things had to change for him to fit into this team. And ever since he has joined the team, they were scrambling to get comfortable. Like something was always not working. Something wasn't coming together in the way that Carrigan likes to lead the team or have things work out, right? Do you
yep,
know the thing I'm really sad for? It's just the personal side, is that Elige moved to Europe, gave up his life in America. Obviously, he wanted this great chance to be on phase and compete for trophies and get back to the top, right?
yep,
He was not the problem as an individually skilled player, but it sounds like he was the problem in how much he wanted in the team, yeah, and how much he maybe wanted to say or the way he was going to do things because it didn't work out. They weren't able to agree on things. It wasn't going to fit into Carrigan's system. And I don't know, man. What's your initial thoughts when you saw Elise was gone? Like, it wasn't a surprise, I'm guessing.
No, I mean, there's 2 points to it. I thought it was kind of sad looking at his last game being like really, really good against Aurora. He posted a 150 rating,
Yeah.
and then just getting dropped. I do think there are other problems in phase, and it looks slightly scapegoated, even though it's obvious that this kind of combination hasn't really worked out. But my question is really, Elish, that big of a problem? To me, this looks like it has to be on a personal side, how they work. There's
Yeah.
clashes in the teams of taking initiatives. We could see Rain's kind of point where there's a lot of people bringing in a lot of initiatives and ideas at the same time, and probably confuses people or makes people a little bit uncertain on where to end, where to go. Um,
Well, also to your point on that, remember there was this time where like Frozen first came to the team, and Carrigan was like, "Yeah, back to using Frozen as having more of the second voice, more of that ability." Then Elise is also now that kind of person,
yeah.
and then you've got too many cooks in there for Carrigan, who's obviously a heavy leadership type guy. Like, yeah, I can imagine that's confusing.
Yeah, so that's probably where I see the problem where, an initiative is taken when a round is called, and that creates uncertainty and chaos and makes the whole team kind of look messy because they don't really know what voices you're listening to. Because I mean, if you take an initiative and just say, "Wow, let's go B split, B split," and all of a sudden, someone's called around previously 10 seconds before, people start moving in the direction of this stressed kind of call. I'm not saying that is exactly what's happening. I'm
Mm,
just giving an example of how it could look like. Um,
yeah.
you end up ruining kind of two calls at once. And it's also the thing where a lot of the time in coaching, one thing I say is if we, in practice and officials, just listen to the original call, if we end up not doing that, we'll never know if it was the right or the wrong one. So
Hmm.
listen to the in-game leader, make sure that we, know that if he has a call he wants to do, we follow it. And when he needs help,
Yep.
he'll have to come and he'll sort it out. If you have a good idea, because timing is everything in calling. The right call is, there's a 1 to 2 second margin on having the right call in top tier Counter Strike. So if you're moving players 1 2 seconds from the call to then move back, it could be a completely wrong call. Um,
Yeah.
so that's my presumption that things are that some people just can't hold their kind of instinctive ability. This is a good call. I want to shout it out. I want us to do this now, and we have an opportunity, which doesn't come from a
Hmm.
bad place, but needs to follow some kind of hierarchy when you're playing.
Yeah, and hierarchy is very important in that sense. And then the crazy thing is, right, because we see the addition is Jakob, I'm guessing I'm going to say, Polish player.
Jacob,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, he came from that team that trying to remember what
bet
it
click.
was. Beck, there we go. And they were the team that surprised a little bit that one time at a PGL event. Um, they had some individual success, you know. I don't know how deep their run went at it. Like, I don't know what they did. I just remember them having some moments, and I was thinking, okay, that's not too bad. Here we go. PGL Bucharest. So they lost to Furia, they beat the Mongols, they beat Astralis, then they lost to Aurora and lost to FaZe, and they were out of the tournament. But like beating the Mongols and beating Astralis, that's not bad, right? For a team
Yeah,
that was unexpected to do anything, was supposed to be on paper coming in last place. Um, Carrigan's wife was like the mental coach, performance coach for that team as well. So she might have had some input on type of player he was mentally, but this was a shock signing.
yeah.
I didn't hear about this anywhere. I don't know where this came from, who it was, how it came together, but like just reading the where was it? Was it Carrigan or was it Neo? Who was it who said some stuff? And I was like,
Well, Neo obviously is Polish as
here we
well.
go. Yeah, but like, so this is Carrigan's tweet. New generation is here in phase. It's a privilege to have him join us, and it will shake something up role wise, and there will be a transition period. I'm excited to start a new process and look forward to play. Go give Kuba the Polska Gurum a follow. Yeah, so give some love to the new player. Yes, he's young. He's 20 years old, if I'm right. Um, but it's going to shake things up role wise. He's 21 years old. It's going to shake things up role wise. It was already shaken up. Are we going backwards? Are we going forwards? Like, what's happening here? What are we
So,
doing?
so I actually did check at least on 4 maps to kind of compare Alicia's current roles in phase versus Jacob's in
Hmm.
BetClick.
Okay, thank
And
you.
yes, so I'll just give them out. It's I didn't have the time to prepare a Devil walkthrough, but Hopefully, this will be good enough for this
We could do a
part.
devil walk through after blast actually when we see some data on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's take Ancient. T
Mm-hmm.
side, Jacob plays elbow mid area, usually like an entry
Mm-hmm.
part, kind of like, if the 4 other guys are going towards B, he'll still be in that elbow area. Elise played the exact same role. In execute
Okay.
contact rounds, Elise was second or third man in, kind of trading, aiming, same role. Both essentially the same
Okay.
role, full on Ancient. Mirage.
Yep.
Jacob has a playmaking role, and if they are playing a little bit more slowly um, in T rounds, he'll kind of hold B apps, something that Elish also did. Um, just shortly, if they're free out mid, if he's playing 1-3-1, he will kind of be stuck in that kind of between underground and B apps, kind of checking it every once in a while. This is a very passive
Yep.
round. Otherwise, playmaker, top mid, underground, making plays. Elish did the exact same thing. CT side, Elish and Jacob play kind of window / con, depending on where the opera is. Takes over
Yep.
window and con. Same roles on Mirage. T side, Elish plays BetClick Vito's Inferno, so we don't know. But I took the relevant maps for phase and not
Okay.
BetClick. So Elise plays Boiler second mid guys, has a little bit more freedom compared to that apps kind of lurk. Is
Yep.
more responsible to taking that middle part of the map on T side, and CT side he plays rotation and long. So it'd be interesting to see what he actually plays on that side. On Nuke, Jacob T side plays top silo. Elish plays top silo. CT side is the only difference I could find was Jacob plays
Nuke.
outside. Elish plays door /
Mm.
first rotation lower.
Yep.
So I found on obviously 6 roles, one difference.
Yeah. Okay, so not too much of a difference in there. He's a young player that they can mold, you know? He can
Yeah.
definitely be taught into their system, so that can be a positive. But the fact that Carrigan says it's going to shake up some things role wise again, does this mean we see on some other maps that Rain or Carrigan go back to some of the roles they're used to playing? Are we changing things up again? Because if we're changing things up again and we say we want to buy him another 3-6 months, it's another bit of the year wasted and we see what the hell's going to happen. I remember I
Yeah,
came back to this
I
thing of
don't
like
see.
Rain, maybe Rain's end of his career at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I
it's
don't know.
tough.
But either way, I think Kerrigan has a great track record of kind of bringing up unproven talent to some degree. Obviously Brokey, Frozen was with his first like real professional team, at least in the top tier.
Drops on the
Rops.
mouse time.
So there's a lot of this like talented players who obviously Kerrigan has brought into his team, which later moved on to be, a very established name in the scene. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see any like in terms of like young players, he has a really sharp eye, and I think that he knows what he's doing, and he looks really sharp. I watched a couple of highlights because I didn't go into any in-depth kind of demo watching. I just watched a couple of highlights. Really snappy,
Yep.
aim, really precise. Yeah, just he looks great from the kind of eye test. Obviously, this is highlights, so it's always going to be like
A bit more flashy.
extremely flashy comparably to maybe watching someone just play.
Yep.
But it definitely gave me a sense of what he's capable of, and
Okay.
he has a high ceiling. And yeah, I think I think uh, most of all, I don't necessarily think it's like Alicia's skill level. That's
No,
too bad.
we never said that.
I think it has to be something personal, but this is also just pure speculation and guesswork. And
Yep.
I don't know the situation. I want to make that clear. But to me, how it's presented and, you know, with his performances individually, it has to be something that just they feel we can't fix this, no matter how many times we talked about it.
Yep. Well, it didn't work out for Elise. I don't know where he can go next. Some people were saying Navi, but I can imagine if Elise really does want more control and stuff like that, that's not going to get it on a Navi Blade team. That might not work. So if he wants to stay in Europe, he needs to just try and get a team after the major, going into the 2026, or if he tries to go back to North America. I'm interested to see where he can go, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's start getting on towards the Blast Open London. Remember,
Yeah.
again, because of I even forgot this myself. I'm working the event, so I'm back on Blast, which is going to be epic. But
So biased.
I, yeah, always biased if the events are higher me, definitely. No, because I'm unhappy. I realized that the event is online for the first part to qualify to London, and then it's the LAN finals for I think it's
Ah,
6 teams. Yep, the 6 teams going through to the LAN finals, and it goes from 16 to 6 teams going to London. Obviously, Blast have the thing where teams are rewarded for not skipping their events, but like Falcons are not there, Mongols are not there. So Mongols and Aurora are only not there because they can't get visas to London so quickly, and there's such a busy event schedule. Yeah, Falcons, I may be skipping because of the visa thing, or maybe just because they prioritize Fissure over that, being the fact that Fissure's in Serbia. Good for Nico, very Russian speaking country as well. There's a lot of Russians there. So good for
yeah.
Munacy and Kioski. Um, so there is that side of it, and Falcons really need some VRS points. And doing an online event is not great for VRS, And this we spoke about this before, but this move to move the events online first into LAN finals isn't great from Blast, and I'm hoping that it changes going into next season. That would be very positive. It changes going into next season because we need these LAN games. They're so important for VRS. It holds more weight to it. It's better competition, and I'm sure the teams would appreciate it at the same time. The team
I
list,
mean,
though,
we've even
still has
said
vitality.
we've even seen
Go
players
on.
kind of talk about it. With Nico, obviously, talked about
Oh, in the
other
interview,
events
yeah.
being more important
Yep.
than blast events right now. So, and we've talked about it with that guy on Twitter. I can never remember his name, but um, we viewed of some of his tweets
Oh,
where he
VRS God.
goes kind of
Yep.
goes in depth in it, and he's obviously put a red flag on blast events where it's most of the time is actually just a net loss for some of these like Spirit, Vitality, Mouse teams where it's almost no potential for them to gain something from playing them,
Mm-hmm.
and almost always potential to lose.
I'm trying to
So it's
find the
not a
guy
great case.
now.
We've got some replacement teams. Fnatic got
Jesper.
their
It's
first.
Jesper.
Jesper.
Jesper's in Udknund from, I guess that is from Denmark. But yeah, you're saying replacement teams. Let me go through the team list then. So we've got
Yeah.
Vitality, Spirit, Mouse, Navi, Furia. Good to see them back. FaZe, G2, Gamer Legion, VP, Liquid, Legacy, FlyQuest, M80, Fnatic, Imperial, and Ecstatic. Now, five of the teams. Rising Asia, which is a Blast qualifying event. Rising North America, Rising South America, and Rising Europe. So four, because
Four.
Fnatic was a VRS replacement team. Yeah,
Yeah.
four from the Rising events. So that's how teams can qualify to a Blast event. I always am going to say positively about qualifying events because that's a huge opportunity. It'd just be nicer if these teams could qualify the way they did through Rising and then come to a LAN event. But I'd say the interesting ones here is we get to see Imperial back after not seeing him on tier 1 for a long time. Same for Fnatic. But
Yeah.
I'm not holding too much hope into what they can achieve. Very excited to see Legacy back. That's a positive. That's going to be good for him as well. And also just how some of these teams handle online play again, because it wasn't too wild or crazy when we look at Blast Bounty that also started online. So maybe people are getting and teams are getting more used to it, Maybe it's becoming
Yeah.
a little bit better.
Maybe, but it's always this. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one because
Very.
obviously some of the top teams they will not be as motivated. There's a high risk for upsets going into these online stages, which can be
Yep.
exciting. But
And Obviously, we don't want to see it, but Cheetah's online as well. Shouldn't be any of these teams, given the
No.
caliber of the teams and the players we've
Yeah.
named. But I mean, there's always this factor. I'm sure Blast have got a good measure to do it. By the way, I will say this: Blast admin team, led by James Watsy, they are very solid. Like, they got all that shit bumping out the right way. So I'm always very positive on these guys. So 3 teams will make it through each group here. So before we do our predictions on the opening matchups, do you want to do opening matchup predictions first, then who will make it through? Do you want to do that?
I think that makes the most sense.
All right. So I'm on just the HLTV looking at the groups here. So I'm just going to
Brackets.
read out what's in front of me. Yeah, brackets. So Vitality M80, Vitality.
Yep.
Game Legion Virtus Pro. I'm going to
I'll-
pick Game Legion because it's online and I think Kersey will actually play better.
Oh damn! I'll take VP.
Okay. FaZe Ecstatic. FaZe.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
There's the
I thought you were
support
going to do
in me.
something else. Yeah, yeah. Ecstatic have a chance to get a map. I think they can be a good team. They've shown some games like that. Navi Fnatic. I'm hoping Navi play this from boot camp, by the way. I really want them to play it from boot camp. They missed out on last LAN finals for Bounty. And Ime said to me that, like, if they played it from LAN, because he hadn't played online in so long, like if they played it on LAN boot camp, that is, probably would have been a different situation. So hopefully they do that. But I will still choose
I
Navi
actually
over Fnatic.
think Fnatic. I think they'll take a map.
A map, okay, but not the series. So you still go Navi, yeah?
I'm still going Navi, but I think
Okay.
so. I've watched Fnatic a bit. Obviously, I did the Star Ladder stuff, so I've gotten a
Yeah.
chance to watch them a bit. They're actually looking a lot better now. They also have a little bit of
Okay.
specialist maps of like they're really good on Overpass, Train, for example. They're also great on Inferno. Some of these maps where I could see them picking up one of them against Navi, depending on how the
How's
beta
Cypher
goes.
fitting in?
Really good on some maps, really, really, really good. Like, I think he
Okay.
struggles a bit on Train. Overpass, he is amazing on. They're kind of leaving him as an A lurk, and Blame F is that proper B lurk. And they're kind of like
Yep.
pressuring B, taking connector, letting Cypher kind of roam around the map in this kind of slow entry style, which I think he was always great at, especially in like maps like Vertigo in the past, where you like that
Yeah.
A ramp where you have to be a little bit sneaky but entry. So I think in those kind of maps, he's been suiting out really, really well. I think on maybe a bit more standard maps, like I think Train he struggled a little bit, Mirage he struggled a little bit, but I think like Inferno, Overpass, and he's been really good on Dust too.
Okay. All right, on to Group B. Mao's Imperial. Mao's.
Mouse Imperial, Mouse, yes.
G2 Liquid.
I'll take. This is a spicy one, but I'll take G2.
I'm going to go Liquid.
I think there's a chance
I'm going to
Liquid could
believe
do
in some
something.
Liquid, yeah. I'm believing Liquid for the opening game. Spirit FlyQuest. Spirit.
This
Hopefully it's
must
with
be
Tanir.
Tanir.
Yeah, but it's not been announced yet, and it's in a couple of days. Maybe they're just waiting. But I mean, if it's Zontix, even if it's Zontix, even whoever it is, I'm still putting Spirit. It's against FlyQuest.
Yeah. Spirit.
Yeah.
Now this one is spicy.
Furia Legacy. This is no longer, though, that much of a spicy matchup for me because Molodoi exists.
Okay.
I believe in Molodoi. I'm going Furia.
I'll take Furia too, but I
It's a
think
best of 3, not a best of 1.
Legacy can still win a map for sure in this series.
Okay, that's fair. Now, how this works, right? 6 teams go through to the London finals. Upper final, for the winning team goes through to the semi-finals. Losing team goes to the quarterfinals. Then there's a lower final. Winning team goes through to the quarterfinals. Losing team gets eliminated. So,
yeah.
Group A, I think Vitality, Na'Vi, and BP.
You
VP
pick.
over phase in this for me.
Okay, I'm picking the exact same Navi, VP, Vitality. I think it's funny
You're
that you
actually
pick
going
Gamer
VP.
Lead. You picked Gamer Legion and then I picked VP and you're picking VP to go through.
Yeah, but
I
I
thought that
think
was kind of
VP. No, VP will wreck the teams in the lower bracket because
yeah,
I'm thinking they'll face like an M80, yeah, and
ecstatic
then
maybe.
they'll face an ecstatic, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's oh no, they won't face an ecstatic, will they? They'll face a so who would be on the other side? So they'll come through
Well,
this
they could
side. They'll
definitely be
face
Fnatic or ecstatic.
oh yeah. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think they can be a lower bracket run. Depends how early they come up against FaZe. Be the lower final they come up against FaZe, right?
Oh no, wait. No, they would be facing wait. VP up there.
The loser of Vitality Game Legion. Gonna be a rematch again.
No, is it? No, I think they switch when next round goes.
Okay. But either way, it'll happen the way it happens.
Yeah. It's not
Okay,
their
Group
face.
B, who's going through? Mouse, Spirit, and Furia for me.
Yeah. I have to say the same. What choices
Bro,
do you
you just
leave
gotta
me
keep
with?
copying my homework.
What do you mean? You can't start both Group A and Group B? What is this? Next time, rules. Don't meme me. Next time, I'm gonna make this very clear when we go into this. Because
That you're a copy paste homework boy?
I'm starting every single time from now on.
Yeah, but you're the analyst, right?
Yeah, but I think that those are great picks. I think even if,
I
for
know, I
example,
made
a
them.
mouse, a spirit would drop into the lowers, I think they'll clean house with the rest of the tournament in that part. So I actually think Group B is probably a little bit more clear to me who will go through comparatively to Group A. Because I think there's, you have the Vitalities, you have VP, you have Gamer Legion, FaZe, Navi. All of these teams could make it through. And it's more
But don't you
likely
think
that
Vitality's
it's.
almost guaranteed semis?
Yes. I
Yeah,
think
because
so.
they're missing Spirit, and they don't see Spirit or Miles on their side.
But couldn't you see,
They're very
like,
lucky.
if you look at this, like, Gamer Legion could make it through. VP could make it through.
Yeah,
FaZe could make it through. Navi could make it through. These are four
yeah,
teams
but
fighting for two spots.
none of them in current skill are beating Vitality. Like Vitality have got a real nice group here.
Yeah, 100%. No one is beating Vitality. I'm
So
just saying there's four teams that are
yeah,
fighting for the other two spots.
yeah, definitely.
And it's a little bit more
All right,
unclear to me.
so let's do this then. Just who you think's going to win the whole event? Because I said for EWC, it would be Vitality coming back into
I
it.
said Spirit.
So you did. Yours was even worse than mine. But I'll say this. I believe, because if Spirit come in with Tanir, I don't think they're going to win the event. But if Spirit come in with Zontix, they might have a chance. But I do believe, I have to, because I feel like
It's
there's a
gonna be
fire now in
Vitality, I think.
Apex and Vitality. Yeah, Vitality to win again or get back to winning ways. And I have to say that because I said it last time. And if it isn't, then I gotta jump ship. They'll start in semis, so they're guaranteed semis. They'll probably make grand final. They should win the grand final. We'll wait and see.
Too.
Okay, you're joining me now. You learned your lesson.
I can't pick Spirit now. Just change your player. Worked for them last time, but
Yeah, actually, we could just be being real stupid here, right? Tanir comes in. He's actually full beast mode. They've only practiced for 2 days, but he's just loving life and everything's good.
But I think Spirit's gonna struggle a little bit with changing role because Tanir does not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a copy paste into the team. They need to change some things up and make him fit. And it's probably.
It looks like
be
they want to do that as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a struggle at the beginning.
All right, let's get on to our Q&A. We've got 2 questions in here. One is from a guy called Mars, and as always, you
Oh,
guessed it, Skorga is back with another
and
question.
I can do
So
this.
let's get the first one. What?
I'm not logged in, so I can copy back and
You can actually
forth.
highlight
Like,
it. I couldn't see anything. All right, so Mars, he's got his question in here. It says, "Hi, Banks and Devilwalk. I have a question about getting into the industry from a non-talent perspective." Oh, I don't know how I can help, but we'll try. I'm about to start a university degree in esports management, and many of my older family members are asking what I could actually do with it. I try to explain that besides talent or broadcasting, there's also essential work with organizations. Very true. So my real question is, what's the best way to start working for a major tournament organizer like Blast or PGL? Banks, did you work smaller orgs and build your way up, or did you start as a low-level employee in a bigger company and climb the ladder? Just to be clear, I don't work for any of these organizers. I am a complete freelancer and on my own. I've never worked for a tournament organizer. Um, I did get moved to Ukraine with StarLadder. They gave me a contract, but I've never been a full-time employee of an ESL or anyone else. Someone like in the old days, Machine and Pansy, they were full-time employees of ESL. Freya is a full-time employee of Face It or now EFG, however you want to do it. He then says, "I know this is probably a bit different for you both, considering how long you've been in the scene, and the Devil also has a player coach experience. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. P.S. Love the podcast lately. Thank you very much, dude. The Devil walkthroughs have been insanely insightful for watching Tier 1 play. Hell yeah, DW. Let's go.
yay!
Um, Thank you very much for the question, Mars. So I'm gonna hit you with I just knocked my camera flying almost.
Earthquake.
Yeah, that was just my knee hitting the table. I'm too big. Mars, I'm gonna hit you with a couple of things. So you said esports degree in management and probably means you're from America or the United Kingdom because I know they have them. I always worry about these things because I sometimes, sadly, just from a personal experience as someone who didn't go to university, I feel like some of these courses are almost a scam because the people teaching them don't know enough about esports and aren't actually really skilled. Now, I do know some courses. I've got a friend of mine, Rams R2K, used to be a professional player, went on to be manager inside Dignitas when it was very successful before it got bought out by the Americans. So in its heyday, as it would be. I know Richard Lewis gives some lectures as well, which obviously would be very insightful at a university with all his experience. But there are a lot of frauds, and a piece of paper isn't going to help you as much. So you have to be very careful. I feel like most of the people I know in esports, despite a very specific skill set, came from having it without having any degree or something to back it up. Now,
It's all
let me
passion.
just make sure I read it. Yeah, not all passion, but like, passion is going to drive you a bit. So you said it's in management. Now, for example, when I managed BNE, I've never been a manager, never tried to be a manager. I just helped the boys out and threw myself in. But I would say for you, if you've got a degree and it's an actual university degree and something you can work with, try with a smaller tournament organizer. Obviously, be careful of dodgy ones. We've all seen the stories of ones that have fallen apart and broken apart. Or look at job openings like at a Blast or at any ESL or something like that that might be a bit lower down than what your degree would say so you can get your foot in because you need to start somewhere with it. The degree is not going to help you jump into something. They're always posting. I try to sometimes retweet stuff, jobs and availabilities. But also, you can work as a bit of a contractor or a freelancer, even if you want to try be a player manager. Now, a player manager is someone who basically helps a teams or multiple teams in the day to days of tournaments, and that means like you're
You're
making sure they're going
basically
to the
a
media downtime.
babysitter,
And
as they call it in some tournaments.
how are you gonna, bro? You're just down tournament organizers now
I,
with their player managers. No, like some of it's next level.
I'm not
You
saying it's
can't
not. I'm
babysitting
not.
sounds terrible.
That's a coach's job as well. It's essentially a babysitter. It's important
Okay, you're just
work.
talking it from your opinion. Yeah. But some of the player managers I know are so gifted at managing sometimes managers who are crazy, players who are having the worst day ever, some who are not on time, managing relationships and all that side of things. But I would say you need to look for these kind of an openings and opportunities and try go out from there. You could also look at team management. But for that, I would say try and look at a more not a super like tier 1, but a more established organization where they would let you try manage. It doesn't have to be a Counter-Strike team, could be another game team, but like get your foot in of day-to-day esports business management on that side of it. Hopefully that helps. If you've got another question, you can pop it in and we can grab it for the next episode as well. DW, you got anything you can add?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, obviously I have the player and coaching experience, but most people that I've seen kind of take the next steps in the business has all started either with journalism or adminning, or those kinds of stuff where they've played a part in a tournament, like player manager or stuff like that, and then they've eventually taken more steps up and taken more responsibility. I'm not sure I've ever seen anyone just hop into that role all of a sudden and
Mm-hmm.
be good at it. I think even doing stuff like being part of of a team on a daily basis can help you kind of understand the esports world of how to manage tournaments, book scheduling for teams, etc. That a lot of these tier 2, tier 3 teams maybe don't have a manager full time, and maybe try that for a bit. Helping them kind of organize documents and strats and tournament scheduling and practice scheduling and stuff like that. Kind of being close to the team, being in their team speak, and kind of getting to know the esport world in that sense can also be kind of a good starting line. And then if it isn't for you, it's not like you're bound to something. You can just try it out, see if you can help some teams out, and take it from there. That's
And
kind of
that,
what.
do you know what, an example I can give is as a guy, I won't name his full name, but we'll call him Mike. And he was once a tournament head admin at the time, in charge of all that side of things. And then he went to go, because of his hard work, his passion, his understanding of it all, went up to a very high role now to like executive level within the tournament organizer. So you can grow into these things and go that way. So there's plenty of opportunity,
Isn't
but yeah,
his
maybe
name
start down a little
Mike?
bit lower. Yeah, his name's Mike. I'm not giving his full name. I'm not giving like his whole government name.
I was like,
He's not gonna know if I just say Mike, am I?
all right. I thought
You know what I'm on
I knew
about.
exactly who you were talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Like his
But
name
you
is
would know,
Mike.
and industry people would know. But I mean,
But you said
it's
it like
not.
you've made up the name. I'm just gonna call him, let's see, Mike.
You know what I mean, man? I'm just like, I'm
Yeah.
covering the LinkedIn following, or like someone to just name find him and grab him.
Yeah.
It's still a real example.
Yes.
Oh dear. Okay, next one then. Skorga. He's back again. Hey guys, what's going on at FaZe Clan? Do you have any inside information regarding the recent benching of Elise? We already covered that, because from an outside perspective, it makes no sense. If I remember correctly, FaZe skipped tournaments this year so he could move and settle in, and now just 6 months later, he's benched. It feels like the team needs a full overhaul. His rumored replacement, Jacob, is young and mechanical, but from the matches I've seen, I doubt he can replace Lee's firepower. We would love to get a devil tactical analysis on the situation if you don't have one planned next. Well, it's not really a question because we already touched on it. Also, you heard this earlier in the episode, but there will be a devil walkthrough after Blast London, because Devilwalk will have to get cooking when we look at it all. So there you go.
Yeah.
And that's it. That brings us to the end of episode 23.
Let's
it is
go.
the 25th of August now. We've gone from the 24th to the 25th of August, at least for me. You're still on the 24th.
Yep.
Your time is, yeah, you're still back. So we're in 2 different parts of the day now. Techno is now an MVP of a tier 1 event. He never had an EVP, but he's now an MVP. It's epic for him. The Mongolz thing is just so lovely. It's just such a good storyline. It's a good time of CS. And next episode will be, I guess we'll do it after the major. No, after the major. Where's my brain going?
Next episode in 4 months.
we're not taking that long off, bro. Oh dear, bro, I'm cooked, man. I woke up this morning at 8:30 to get ready, and it's now. Why does this keep happening on episodes? This must be the funniest parts of episodes where I just come in absolute cooked. Could we could do an episode, by the way. So Blast London finishes on the 1st of September, and then the finals don't start till the 5th of September. So we can do one before the finals, technically. If there's lots of news, we can just even just do a short one.
Because I'm obviously, well, I can't even say, but I have a job.
And I have a job. Well, that's not even, mate. That's obvious.
I realized midway.
You said my naming's obvious. A man just dropped the name of the tournament, basically.
Well, yes, we can do an episode the 5th.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
No, not on the 5th. The 5th. The finals start on the 5th. We need to do an episode on like the 3rd.
What? I can't hear you sometimes. You're cutting out.
I've lost it now. It's because you put my mic gain so much lower now. You don't hear me anymore.
No.
It's all your fault. Okay, so Blast London qualifier online part ends on the 1st of September. The LAN finals start on the 5th of September, so we can film on the 2nd of September or the 3rd.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
That makes sense.
Get your questions in. Find us on TikTok. Wait a second, let me open. I don't even use TikTok, right? So I'm just only logged into our TikToky.
Yes, please.
All about CS podcast on TikTok. We need more followers so that we can monetize our podcast. That is what we're aiming for, boys. We will start doing some giveaways on it as well. I've got some signed Navi stuff I'm going to be able to give away for you guys. So yeah, go follow on TikTok. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Make sure you review our podcast on Spotify if you're one of our Spotify regular listeners. I know there's audio listeners in here as well. Either way, we appreciate all of you. We have a lot of fun doing the podcast, as you can tell. It turns into madness at times, a lot of laughter and giggling, but we keep grinding, we keep going, and we are not stopping. We are not giving up. No one's going to bully us away from any of this. It's not happening. It's not possible. Anything you want to say?
No, follow us on TikTok. Have a great night. Hope you enjoyed it. We have to let Banks go. He's done. He's absolutely melted in his brain. I think that's it.
That's the end of episode 23. Bye.